Good morning, Tempo Freaks and Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here, and it is Wednesday, and the Tempo lost to the Fever last night. And we also have a game tonight. So I don't get why we have this back to back like this. It seems like WNBA season spread out enough that there shouldn't be hardly any back to backs for a WNBA team. I mean, we just had 5 days off, and they're deciding to jam us up with the games on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday this week, and then even on Saturday, it's like 4 games in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and meanwhile, we had 1 game in 7 days the week before. This is part of the diabolical schedule making that is insidious for the NBA and the WNBA. Hurry up, play a lot of games in a small period of time, but don't have any games for, like, 5 days. It's like the Raptors get extra days off, but they're all lumped together in 1 week in, like, February or March or near the All-Star break. So it's, like, not as effective, We'd like to have those days spread out in between games instead of all one lump sum over a 7-day period where we're just sitting around and we have a whole time off. It's really messed up, and this is the way they do it. So if you see a team that you root for that takes 5 days off like the Tempo just did, and then they have to play a back-to-back all of a sudden, know that that's just bad scheduling. That's just not in your favor kind of scheduling. The way they did the schedule for the Sixers, they spread it all out. They don't have any of this kind of stuff for them, so that old ass LeBron can be okay, and Joel's knee is babied. They can choose to not give schedules like this to certain teams, and they do, and they give these kind of schedules to certain teams also, where you get all this time off and then really fast. You got to do this. The Tempo had to get on a plane immediately and go straight to Washington, D.C. to play the Mystics tonight. So we'll do a preview for that right now, and then we'll react to the Indiana stuff after that. So let's go ahead and get right into the preview. The Tempo played last night, as I just said. And, well, this is their injury report for tonight. Niara Sabally is out, of course. She's in a walking boot, and she'll be reevaluated in a few weeks. So she sustained the calf injury in the loss to Dallas last week, and she's going to miss a good chunk of time. I'll bet you she's not going to be back till maybe the last couple games of the season. Maybe for the last 4 games in September, maybe just for 2 of the last games. We'll have to see. But Sabally is definitely out tonight. Julie Alamong, let's see if there's any good news about her. She is out for the game last night, but it doesn't say for sure that she'll be out tonight. But I would guess that she's probably going to be out again, considering that she was out last night. Although, who knows? Maybe Conde or Alamong could be back all of a sudden, one or the two of them tonight. I mean, that would be good because we need a little bit of freshness for the game tonight. They're saying Conde is out for last night, but there's no update for today yet. So Alamon and Conde out last night, but no real information on an update for today yet. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't hold our breath. It's probably likely that they're both out, or one of them's at least out. Maybe one of them returns. That would be good. But yeah, everybody else is back. Brittany is back. It was a successful return for Sykes last night, here in the crowd ovation at Scotiabank Arena, and playing over her minutes restriction. She said after the game in the post-game news conference that she was kind of upset that she couldn't play at the end of the game to try and help them win the game. But when she saw her minutes total on the box score, she realized that Sandy went above and beyond and let her be out there longer than she was telling her she would. She was supposed to be a 15 minutes restriction. She played 21 minutes. So she got 6 extra minutes. Honestly, she looked great. She looked great. And we'll talk more about Brittany in the game last night. But let's go look at the Washington Mystics and whether they have any injuries. Looks like they're totally clean. Bill of health. I don't see any injuries on their side. Of course, the Mystics are Shakira Austin, Sonia Citrone, Kiki Irfin, Michaela Onyenware, Cody McMahon, Lauren Betts, Georgia Amore, Alicia Flores, Betchinia Lene Hamilton, who was picked up off the waiver wires from the Liberty. Angela Dugalich, Lucy Olson, Cassandra Prosper, Rory Harmon, Dariana Littlepage Bugs. Yeah, that's their team. That's their team right now. And well, they don't seem to have any injuries today. So they're completely fresh. Well, Washington's been winning a lot. They have been doing very, very well. And they are a playoff team. 20-14 for them. They're 12-6 at home. The ESPN matchup predictor is saying that the Tempo have a 21% chance of winning. So this is even less than the chance yesterday against Scotiabank against the Mystics. Mystics 79% chance to win. They have been rolling and they have been playing quite well, the Mystics. So in some ways this makes sense. They've won it looks like 3 out of their last 5. And well, we've lost 4 out of our last 15. I mean, we've lost 14 out of our last 15. Oh man, it's bad. In fact, it's so bad that the Tempo are now ranked at the bottom of the WNBA power rankings for the first time this season. There's always been the Sun or the Storm below us, but not anymore. This week, we're ranked 15 out of 15. And yeah, they said basically this: the expansion Tempo have lost 10 in a row and 14 of their last 15 games dating to late June. Last week, that included a 94-88 defeat at Dallas on Wednesday. Yeah, while her team is struggling, Toronto guard Marina Mabrey continues to have a career year, averaging 20.8 points. Oh, man. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, last night was, again, another winnable game, and we'll talk about this. They're just not serious enough about competing and closing out and winning yet. But the signs are there that the Tempo will be able to figure this out in the years to come, but not this year. This year, they're a lost cause. Let's just put it that way. They're a lost cause. They're not. Let's not try and win. Let's go ahead and go in that direction. In fact, I'll talk about it in a second. The referees for tonight's game in Washington. This is who we got. Crew chief Isaac Barnett, number 16. We've had him a few times this year. We're 1-2 with Isaac so far this season. Jason Alabanza, number 29, will be the referee. We have not seen him ref a Tempo game yet this year. This will be his first Tempo game refereeing. And then the umpire is Ken Jones, number 36, and we are 1-2 with him also. So the overall record for the 3 refs tonight in the Mystics game is 2-4. 2 wins, 4 losses for the Toronto Tempo this season. So yeah, Isaac Barnett, Jason Alabanza, Ken Jones are the referees for today's game. Yeah. I was frustrated with the game last night, similar to the Dallas game last week. It's a close enough game. It's winnable. You guys do so much to come back, and you just fumble like when you're close to it. It's not even like there's stages to this. In some ways, there's getting blown out by 20 and 30. You can't have any competition. You lose to the Lynx by 30 points. Then there's, losing by under 10, but you're really not competing or threatening to take the lead. You just play the game, and maybe you were down by 20 at one point, but then you come back and shrink the lead to being around 10 or less. But you really weren't competing actually and taking any control of the game. You're just kind of hanging around below. Then there's getting close and within striking distance and having the opportunities to take the lead, but you don't do it because you fumble. You spend so much time building up to get back in the game from a lead for them, like 17 points or 20 points. And then all of a sudden you're tired. And when you get close to them, like you're 4 points close or something like that, you don't have enough gas, or you fumble, or you make mistakes that are dumb, and you don't make it over that hump. So there's a progress. There's a logical progress that the Tempo have to go through to condition themselves to be winners. And they're not close to winning right now, because last night, Indiana Fever fumbled left and right. They were bad. Like the Fever were so bad in the last 5 minutes of the game, they were practically trying to give us the game. But because we're not capable and on the same page and not making our own mistakes, We're all making our mistakes, just like the Fever. 8-second call on Caitlin Clark and dumb turnovers for them that absolutely should have been mistakes that were maximized and utilized by the Tempo in against the Fever to win the game. Those opportunities were there. I saw somebody comment on social media last night. If Sykes had come back in the game last night, they might have won the game at the end, because that's true. Brittany Sykes is a 10-year pro of the WNBA, and she understands the things to do to win. And that's part of the problem. The Tempo as a team, as players, do not understand what it takes to win, and how much they have to be perfect, and how much they have to utilize mistakes like an 8-second call on Caitlin Clark and stuff like that to really make it turn around. So this is like, you can threaten, you can be within 5 points, you can be 4 points away, 2 points away. But if you don't actually ever take the lead over them because you keep screwing up and they keep staying above you, you're not going to win. So it's like, it's a hump. They got to get over that hump of not just catching up and making it within 10, but also go ahead and take the lead and get ahead of them, and then try and hold the lead above them. Like, there's going to be a whole bunch of stages of the process. See, we're lucky with the Raptors in this rebuild with Darko. He skipped a whole bunch of the really tough stages because he really did a good job conditioning and preparing the Raptors for playing the right way when it's competitive and making sure they try and win. But this is starting from the beginning with Sandy and the Tempo. And they really, really got to go through each stage of trying to get towards closer to consistent winning. So this is nowhere near this ranking in the power rankings is absolutely true. We probably are the worst team in the league right now because we have no defense. We have not been able to stop anybody. They could run through us like a wet paper bag. And until we get the ability to stop people with some sort of force and shut it down, we are going to be easy to score on. So I would argue this offseason, Monica Wright Rogers might need to really think about the defensive aspects of our team and shoring it up a little bit better in certain ways. Because it's no good if we have an offensive engine of Mabry and Rice and Sykes but we can't stop the other team with stops when we're down or anything like that. We won't win. Defense wins, not offense. No matter what Kevin Durant says, he's a fool. Defense wins because look, there's always going to be a time where the other team has a higher score than you. And well, can you stop them from scoring and then score more than yourself to overcome them and win the game? That's what we're talking about. And the Tempo do not stop anybody. They don't stop anybody, you know? I mean, I get it. This high level offensive weapons and Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, and they got a record for 20-point games together and doing all kinds of stuff. They're hard to stop. There's a lot of people talking a lot about Kelsey Mitchell and how unstoppable she is last night. But it doesn't matter. This is a tough league. The NBA is even tougher in some ways because they have these kind of players on each of the teams where it's just impossible to stop them. So you got to kind of have good plans for kind of corralling them or limiting them in certain ways. And we're just not on the same kind of uh, level of being able to put a performance out there that can do these kind of things. It's just not happening. It's just and it makes sense. I mean, this is a first-year team. This kind of stuff is gonna go on, but, in some ways, this may be good that we're losing so much. There's always a bright side of that, right? With the draft. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, let's go do the Redditor of the day for, Toronto Tempo Redditor of the day is Kaz on Reddit. Kaz on Reddit's very active on both the Raptors and the Tempo Reddit pages, and Kaz has reported to us this morning that with the Chicago Sky win last night and the Toronto Tempo loss, we are now second in the odds for the 2027 WNBA lottery. Now, I don't know if there's any rules about our team getting the first or second pick, like that dumb stuff that happened with Allen Iverson with the Raptors early on. But if the Tempo are going to get the second pick in the draft for next year's WNBA entry draft, that might not be a bad thing. I mean, in some ways, I don't know if it's worth being all the way at the bottom of the league if there's some sort of dumb expansion rules where the expansion team cannot have this draft pick or something like that. Because they do this kind of dumb stuff. But we'll see. Either way, as Kaz and Reddit is reporting, the tempo have dropped down to the second best odds in the draft, which is, I guess, a W in a in a bad way. I mean, it's a W, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, last night's game was interesting. I think the game was very entertaining. I thought the game was fun. The atmosphere at Scotiabank Arena was very excellent. The sellout crowd was awesome. They made us look real good here in Toronto for supporting women's sports and supporting our Toronto tempo. I thought that the mascot reveal was fun. It's an interesting thing. We'll talk about the mascots. I'd love to hear all y'all's opinions on the mascots and the reveal and that. And then, of course, we can talk about the game, talk about Caitlin Clark, talk about the return of Sykes, talk about, Sophie Cunningham, talk about Caitlin Clark, yeah, Kelsey Mitchell, all the stuff from the game last night. And, of course, we got to talk about the game tonight and maybe some keys to the victory for how we can possibly play better against the Mystics tonight. So, yeah, it's really disappointing that they have to play immediately tonight. All right, Trevor J's words of wisdom. Even if we lost everything, you still have you, and that's enough to start again. It's never over because you still have you. That's an interesting one. I mean, starting over and with after everything's gone is a very difficult thing. It can be devastating. And there's different points in different people's lives where they go through certain levels of that. If you go through a divorce, if you go through some sort of fire, you can go through all kinds of different things that can take a lot from you. Yeah, it's tough to pick up the pieces. I mean, what Trevor's saying is true. If you still have yourself, but sometimes you need help. You go through a really hard thing and you need to talk to somebody. Maybe you need somebody to help you with supplies because all your stuff is gone. This is hardcore stuff. This is awful. And sadly, more people in society are feeling these kind of things with economic problems and possibilities to be losing their place to live and stuff like that. So yeah, this sucks. But yeah, we can say this. You still have you, but I'm a firm believer in a society that takes care of its people, and I'm not into this bootstraps bullshit that a lot of people are into. We're such a modern world with such conveniences and so many things and so much wealth that honestly, there should be a baseline of basic life that everybody can enjoy. But there's greed and there's avarice and there's a lot of really, really awful people that are making a lot of the decisions and are in charge. And sadly, more and more people fall through the cracks. If you don't like people living in the park, well, let's house them, Doug Ford, you piece of shit. If you really, really don't like people being in the park, you can go ahead and give them free housing. Why not? No, because, oh, that's free. Well, listen, if we have a social safety net, if we have a society that values looking out for each other, we do these things. And there's a lot of countries that do this, and they're very successful because of it. But we can go ahead and be dummies in North America and continue to make poor decisions, antiquated decisions, decisions based around fossil fuels and and decisions based around flawed politics that have been proven wrong and stupid. We can continue to do that and just keep making the same dumb mistakes, but that's insanity, right? To continue to make the same dumb mistakes when you've been presented with the facts and you understand the truth about the fossil fuel industry and climate change and how unnecessary it is at this point with clean energy and green energy. Go ahead and keep making the same dumb mistakes. And listen, you don't like the people in the park, once again, house them. Because you know what? Other countries take care of their people and they're better for it. Japan, Scandinavia, a lot of Europe, they're taking care of their people. Even Cuba takes care of their people better than the United States, even without the supplies that the US is blockading them from. They are still doing a good job. In fact, they're having a green energy revolution because they cut the cord on their oil. And they're innovating and they're finding the next parts of what we should be doing in the future with energy on Cuba because they forced them to, because they tried to starve them out and make them hurt and stuff. But you know what? It's a resilient country and it's for its people and it looks out for its people with socialized medicine, free education, And the things that, you know what, a civilized first-rate country in the world would have. The United States is the worst. In some ways, I wouldn't even say they're a third world country. They're a fifth world country at this point because they masquerade as a big, bad, awesome country. Meanwhile, they have all the problems of a banana republic and a little horrible, like messed up country. And they're a big, huge, badass, wealthy country, but they have all the third world problems. You're a fifth world country, United States. And you know what, Canada? I'm not proud of you either. You can make bigger changes to be better and more progressive towards the future in the right ways. So yeah, we could do better here in Canada too. That's right. Blessings to the Jones family, all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. Trevor J saying this: the Tempo played good, but still made mistakes to get the win. See, that's the thing. The other team did not play well. The Fever are in trouble. I'm going to say this right now. The Fever are in trouble. They are not one of the top teams to be worried about in the playoffs because they make too many mistakes and they have a lot of problems. Y'all should have blown us out of the water. We're not that good of a team right now. And y'all letting us hang around and almost even scare y'all and steal the game. I mean, that's good for TV, but that's not good for y'all because at this point in the season, y'all need to be tuning up and being very top notch. I mean, we've seen the top teams recently on the Tempo. The Aces are top notch. The Lynx are top notch. The Valkyries are pretenders, but they've managed to make enough threes to be successful. But honestly, they're a joke too, and they are not going to win the championship because they have to rely on 3-pointers to win, and they're not going to make their threes at some point. Trust me. No, I would if I'm tiering the teams in the WNBA after watching them recently, I put the Lynx at the top, the Aces second, and I probably put the Dream third, or maybe even the Wings. The Wings third and fourth, uh, Dream and Wings, and then the Fever. And then maybe the Valkyries. The Valkyries and the Fever in the same category. I think the Dream and the Wings are better than those two teams when they're fully healthy. When Shepard is playing and Fudd is playing, the Wings are a top 4 team with Beckers and the different weapons they have. You know, the Mystics are coming up. The Mystics could be involved in that tier with the Indiana Fever because they're good too. So, yeah, there are a lot of mistakes made, Trevor, but more by the Indiana Fever than the Tempo, but the Tempo just couldn't figure it out to make it right. You know, I'm realizing something about Marina Mabry that's, fun and flashy, but she's not good for winning. She's a high volume player that shoots a lot, but she always has a very poor plus minus. And in some ways, it's like I've seen these players in the NBA so many times. She's fun. She's exciting. She's a very much an attraction to come to the game to watch. But I don't think she's part of winning basketball totally. And it's basically because she has to be so much volume and there's a lot of like deficiencies in other areas that we're not talking about with her. And Sykes coming back last night made me realize something that there was a certain air to Sykes on the court that it condones winning. And it's the 10 years experience. It's the been there, done that, and the understanding of it. And I think part of it is also the motivation to know when to go. Slim Sykes has been in a lot of WNBA games. And in some ways, we've missed her know-how, not just both sides of the ball, because Sandy talked about it before the game, saying that, we've really missed Brittany on defense. She's part of the reason why our defense looked pretty good at the beginning of the year and has been complete crap the last 2 months. And I agree with her. I mean, even just seeing Sykes come into the game, there was a certain more of a competency for the Tempo to kind of make runs and close the gap when Brittany was around. And then you add in this three-pronged attack of Mabry, Sykes, and Rice. And there's a lot to be found in that for possible powerfulness on the WNBA court in the future. It's too bad Brittany just came back because this was a game last night that if she had been ready without a minutes restriction and was able to play fully the whole time that she wanted to, she probably would have played in the fourth quarter and we might have won. I'm be honest right now because she has that know-how and she knows what it takes, whether it's a stop on the defensive end or a certain way to get the bucket or get to the line to get free throws. She knows what it takes to close the gap and overcome it. But because she had burned up her minutes earlier in the game, she wasn't available at a key time late in the game. And on the other side, Kelsey Mitchell leaving the game, well, that probably hurt the Fever a lot too because she's their closer. As Infamous said yesterday, Kelsey Mitchell is their closer, and her having such a weird game, she seemed really upset and really kind of uh, really frazzled by the heat in the Scotiabank Arena last night that she had to leave the game and she wasn't available to the Fever to close the game. And that may have made them look better if they had had Mitchell out there to hit the big shots and keep them strong and confident in the last bit, and none of this goofiness that the Fever were going through at the end of the game with mistakes. I have a feeling that both those players would have had a huge impact on their sides for consistency and playing at a higher level to help them close the game out correctly. And I'm just saying, I don't know. In some ways, it's like it makes me realize that, maybe Sandy is not trying to win right now, y'all, because there has been a couple of signs in recent games that have possibly been winnable, and she has not gone all out. Because if you really wanted to, you could risk it. I guess you're risking Brittany's health. You overplay her on her minutes restriction, but you can see the reason why. It's like, well, I had to take the gamble because we were close enough to win, and I'm gonna play her in the fourth past her minutes restriction, and we'll get a good outcome and end this losing streak. No, I don't think Sandy's trying to beat the losing streak. I don't think she cares. At this point, she's just gonna take these L's and have the worst losing streak in her entire coaching history right now. Because she could have put Brittany back in, and I'm telling you right now, Brittany had played in a majority of the fourth quarter. We probably would have won this game last night, much to the delight of the Scotiabank Arena huge sellout crowd, which is it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, yeah. Trevor's saying, hopefully we can win this one tonight. What's the point? In some ways, I say lose the rest of the games for the season and let's get ready for the draft. Because honestly, I don't see them trying to win at this point. I like I said, there's been opportunities to try and go all out and win these games, but they're not. They're not totally trying. It's not that they're trying to tank. It's just that Sandy could do things to make it even easier for them to win, but she's not. She's holding back. There's a couple of weird things. Like I think it's kind of weird in some ways that Julie and Maria are out still, because honestly, their injuries are not that bad probably, and them being out for a whole 5-day break. I figured they'd be healthy and they'd be back by now. You know, it seems kind of weird to me. Seems kind of weird to me. Trevor's saying this. I like the mascots, and two of them only WNBA team to have two mascots. Okay, yeah, it's weird how it spells two that way. Did you spell it that way? Two has a W in it. And two of them. You spelled two twice the wrong way in two different ways. That's interesting. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at the mascots real quick. This is an interesting thing what they did with the mascots. All right, Tempo mascots revealed at halftime. Meet the official Toronto Tempo mascots, Dez and Dot. Dez and Dot. Yeah, Adriana was watching and she was telling me about it over the phone. And she's saying it's a rabbit. A rabbit is the mascot. And I was like, oh, a rabbit? Yeah, an Arctic hare. It's a white rabbit. I'm like, that kind of is cool. That seems like it would go well with our colors, the white of the rabbit with the wine and the blue. It seems like it would go good with our colors. And she's like, "Oh, wait a second. There's another one. There's two mascots." I'm like, "What? There's two mascots?" Yeah, and this one's a turtle. Oh, wow. I get it now. Tortoise and the hare. Fast and slow. And tempo. Yeah, it makes sense to a degree. Now, some people will say, "Why do we have a tortoise one? We don't want to be slow." People gonna be making jokes like, "Oh, we're the turtle tonight because we lost. We're not the hare." Is it gonna be like dissing the turtle, Dez, because it's like that aspect? I could even see this. We may have two mascots now, Trevor, but things could change. In companies, there's downsizing. We know about this. And them carrying two mascots right now in tough financial times, maybe we'll only have one in a couple years because of things. I don't know. Maybe we will have two the whole time. Either way, it could happen either way. But Dot is an Arctic hare, and she is from the Arctic Circle. and her hobbies are hoops and hops and hype. Hops and hype. They came out with like their astrology and all kinds of stuff with it. It's kind of crazy, like what they did. They put out. Dez is a snapping turtle from the Muskokas and spins the ones and the twos and likes to eat soft shell tacos. Apparently, yeah. I mean, I think that's cool. Dez is non-binary, it seems, and is a they. And a lot of people are saying that our mascots are a lesbian couple. It's obvious. Oh, that's a lesbian couple right there. In some ways, the rabbit reminds me of Isabel Harrison. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it was cool. They did a little high five at halftime where they sped up the tempo. They went. "Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da." We'll just have to see how it is. It looks like Dot is an acrobat and able to do the splits and maybe a couple flips. And is that mascot that'll be able to do some of the raptor kind of like acrobatics? And Dez is kind of the family friendly kind of kids mascot that's going to come around and like hug people and stuff like that. I don't know, but it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. I wouldn't have called it. We thought we're talking about beavers and loons and mooses and stuff. We were right that it's an animal, but it's two animals. And the ESPN guy was making fun of us for having a turtle instead of a tortoise. Well, it's the tortoise in the hair, not the turtle in the hair. I'm like, whatever, man. It's close enough, right? You got the reference. So what do you care about, buddy? Ryan Rococo or whatever the fuck your name is? I mean, seriously. Yeah, so it's a turtle and a hair. And everybody was getting confused. There was like, a hair? You mean like hair on your head? No, dumbass. You know what a hair is. What the fuck? You think somebody made a mascot that's hair? Like Cousin It from the Addams Family or some shit? Oh, this is our mascot. It's Cousin It. The hair. The hair. No, it's a rabbit, dumbass. Like, why was people confused about that on the broadcast? It's like, it's a hair? You mean like hair? No, dumbass. It's a rabbit. It's stupid. They're interesting. I mean, I don't hate them. I think that it'll be fun to see how their tales and stories and their odyssey goes. The story of the raptor is an odyssey. There's a lot of chapters with the raptor and the raptor's career. And the stuff the raptor has done. The raptor's been one of the best mascots in the NBA since the Raptors came into existence. Well, we're just gonna have to see the story of Dot and Dez and Dot, named after the T Dot. Dot the hare. Yeah. And Dez the turtle. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Trevor J's brought up something here. Morrow put on a show for the Tempo fans last night. She had more rebounds than all of the Fever team. Not only that, Anissa Morrow set the record for most rebounds in a game by a Toronto Tempo player in this first season. 16 rebounds is the most rebounds any Tempo player's got in this season. So Anissa Morrow in her home debut got a double-double, and she broke the record for the franchise. So she's currently the franchise leader in most rebounds in a game for the game last night. She really was powerful. Really was powerful. In fact, she's my number one star of the game. Anissa Morrow is the number one star of the game for me. And, well, she also got another double-double off the bench, and she broke the record for that also. She has the WNBA record for the whole league for the most double-doubles in a season coming off the bench. Angel Reese is getting all these double-doubles as a starter and breaking all these records for how many double-doubles she's gotten in her young career. But Anissa Morrow has got the most double-doubles this season off the bench. Of course, most of them she got on the Sun earlier this season, but this is the first one for her on the Tempo, and it made like 7 or 8 for the season, and that is a WNBA record. So Morrow was an award-winning player last night with records, breaking records, whether it was the 16 rebounds, most rebounds ever pulled by a Tempo player in the history of our team this year, or the double-doubles off the bench. 29 minutes, 14 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3, 1 of 1 at the free throw line, 16 rebounds. A lot of them were offensive, 7 of them. And there was a whole strain of the game where she just was grabbing every offensive rebound in a bit there. And I think it was this third quarter or second quarter. She just went to town. And she's amazing. Like, for her height and the way she does things. Like, one of the things I love when Morrow's grabbing a rebound, she's like a clam. She goes up and grabs it and smacks it down like this and really clamps down on the ball so nobody else is getting it out of her with strength. You know, she's very aggressive and does a very good job of using her body to box out and shield people away from getting the ball before her. And man, she's awesome. She said after the game in the interview, come in and make her home debut in front of the Tempo fans. She wanted to put on a show. And she saw how big the crowd was for Scotiabank. And she's like got energized by it. And she said, you know what? These fans deserve me going out and busting my ass and putting in work and going and getting the ball tonight. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show them what I do. And she went out and got 16 rebounds. I love that. I love that. It's very Rodman. Seriously, a 16 rebound game is very Dennis Rodman, and she's very workwoman like about doing this. Very workwoman like. She's a worker. She's coming out there to work, and boy did she work the boards last night. They call her Windex. That's right. After the game, Brittany and Anissa were doing the interview with Sandy, and they were giving compliments to each other. And Brittany called her Windex, and she's like, "I'm just so happy to play with such a great rebounder and somebody who's just boarding and crazy, so good. It's just so fun to play with her." And then Anissa turned around and said some very, very sweet things about Slim Sykes, and Slim started blushing. She started feeling really touched that Morrow looked up to her and said some things about her as a vet and a leader, somebody who she looks up to and she's taking direction from. So Slim got a little, you could tell she was touched by it, and she was feeling a little bit like blushy about it. So yeah, Anissa, man, I'm really proud that she's on our team. She's been a great addition. This trade has been fantastic. And it's probably going to be the best trade of the year for Wright Rogers and Eli Horowitz, is what I think. So yeah, Anissa Morrow, my number one star, with a +5 even in the loss. My second star of the game for last night is Temi. Temi, she's been kind of having a weird year, in and out of the lineup, hurt here and there. But last night she had some real excellence. Maybe it's because she was playing a former team of hers. Maybe it's because she's hearing some of the noise around in certain ways, but she's like, you know what? Look, I'm still a very skilled player and I can play at a very high level. And that's what she did. 20 minutes. Temi got 13 points on 5 of 6 shooting, including 3 for 3 from 3. She made their whole total of threes so far this season and doubled it this last night. She had 3 3-pointers made for the whole season, and then she made 3 of 3 last night. That's a big deal. She did miss both her free throws, and they looked ugly, and they were at a bad time for her to miss the free throws. We needed those shots, but she did get 3 rebounds, 1 turnover, and 1 block, and was a -3. It's just the 3-pointers, and she was doing some very excellent stuff, running the floor, playing some defense, and just being a good vet and being a good leader out there on the court. Very efficient for her time out there, too. She was very efficient and helpful. Let's put it that way. And my final star of the game is Slim Sykes. Like I said, Brittany coming back out and getting on the court was really good. The ovation from the fans was awesome. The level of leadership and quality in certain ways is something different you get. And honestly, I have more respect for with her coming back and seeing exactly how we changed with her back in the lineup. We were way more professional, way more capable. There was more opportunities instead of us kind of just failing and like falling behind and not really making any pushes. She come in and inject energy and a push as a leader where we would start eating up the lead and getting closer. That was something that was pretty consistent the whole game, is that Indiana would jump out and get like a 16 or 17-point lead each quarter, and then we'd eat up that lead and eat it down to like maybe 4 points or 6 points or 8 points and be back in striking distance and making it a game. The ESPN announcers, Rebecca Lobo and Ryan, kept talking about how the Tempo are not going away. And part of the reason why we didn't go away was because Brittany was a driving force for us to come charging back at them with scoring. And that's the thing. She's such a talented scorer. She knows how to dribble and drive and get into the lane. and make either a shot or get to the foul line. And that was really good. And plus, the other thing is with her powerfulness as far as like how she can score and also her defensive ability, the other team has to focus on her to a degree. And that helps Mabry and that helps Rice as far as them being able to get better looks and opportunities coming in. So it really is powerful when we have all three of those three. When Rice, Mabry, and Sykes are all three playing, this is when the tempo can be best because each one of those three contributes something very important as leaders. Marina can be a flurry of points really fast and three pointers. And in some ways, she was trying to do that at the end of the game. Kiki can be a very steady scorer. And if we really need a basket badly, she can be a high percentage chance that we will make a shot. And then Sykes is just on both ends a difference maker. She's a difference maker on our defense. We have a way better defense with her healthy and out there. And then on offense, she's an option that's usually good to get you some points on that trip down the court. So having all three of them is powerful, and seeing them together is awesome. Now, if we could just get Niara, our best big, back, and Julie, who's speedy as hell, and the utility of Maria Conde, and have our full team, maybe we do compete a little bit better because we have all of our team. It's kind of like what Leo Routens would say about the Raptors in years past. We can't afford to have anybody out because our talent drops off and we can't compete with people without people all being there. This is kind of the story for the tempo this year is that, at our full capacity, like Sandy envisioned and Monica and building the team, our team has competitive nature that can compete with the best teams in the WNBA. But when you're missing two or three key players every single game, it's not adding up, and the talent level is not adding up, and the different things aren't adding up. And that's been the big, huge problem for our team this year. 21 minutes for Brittany, which is 6 more than she was supposed to get. 15 points on 6 of 15 shooting. She missed all 3 of her threes, but that'll come back. 3 for 3 at the free throw line. That was good. It was good to see her back at the free throw line because in some ways, she brings the level of free throw shooting up for the whole team, and we shoot better as a team. Partly it's because she takes a lot of free throws and she doesn't miss, but it's contagious. I'm telling you right now, if you make your free throws, it's contagious that the rest of the team will too. And if you miss your free throws, it's contagious. You'll start missing. Everybody will. So Brittany sets that standard at the free throw line for the others to follow. And she makes us a better free throw shooting team. 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover, 1 block, a +2. So we won when Brittany was out there. And it's too bad she was just back for the first game. She had a minutes restriction and she couldn't close the game because I feel like with the mistakes the Fever were making, the door was open for us to walk through and get that W and end this losing streak. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And that's some of the signs that we got to see as team matures, that we recognize these are mistakes that this other team's making, and we got to jump on them and utilize them for us to come back the other way. And we didn't do that. We didn't do that, unfortunately. And that's too bad. So, yeah, that's my 3 stars of the game. Anissa Morrow, Temi Fagbenle, and Brittany Sykes. We'll go ahead and go over the rest of them. Marina was not horrible, but also at the same time, like I said earlier, there's something about her that's inefficient and makes you have to overcome her to a degree to win the game. And some of it is that, like, look, I understand her player type. I understand what she's doing out there. And there's been NBA players that have been like her in the past that I haven't had a respect for because in some ways it's not totally winning basketball. It's showmanship. It's showing big threes and stuff like that. And it's flashy. And it's good for a first year expansion team to have that kind of attraction on the team. But I'll be telling you right now, I don't think it's a winning quality for winning championships because in some ways she is still a streak shooter when you get down to it. And if you have to rely on her to make a bunch of crazy long shots, logo shots and half court shots and deep threes for you to get back in the game to win, well, you're living and dying by the 3, just like the Boston Celtics have in the last couple of years. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to live and die by the 3. And in some cases at the end of the game last night, the shot selection to me was poor. The stuff they did with getting the ball into Isabel Harrison at the end of the game where she made some very close-up shots right off the backboard. That was fantastic shot selection. But there were other shot selections in the last 5 minutes of the game that I'm like, why did you take that? Sometimes it would be a Morrow three. And I'm like, look, I get it. Morrow can shoot threes, but that's not the best shot we could have got on this possession. Somebody else is out there. Sometimes, when we force it to Mabry, when we're behind and they know the other team's covering her up real crazy, and we're really forcing it to her, running around screens, and she's just looking for daylight. Well, that was that one play at the end of the game, and Ryan Sassano, the referee, called her for a carry because she brought her dribble up high, and she did kind of hold the ball for a little bit in her hands and then came back down. That was a carry. And if she was a bigger superstar, or a star on a team that they're kind of doting on, she might not have gotten called for that. And that shot would have gone in, and that could have changed the game. There was also the last second shot at the shot clock that they reviewed by the Fever that did get out of the hand of their player, and it was a legal shot, and it was counting. But I did appreciate Kevin Fahey going over to the booth and checking it, even if it was disruptive to the rhythm of the game and the possibility for the tempo to keep up energy. It was good that he checked that, because that could have been crucial. If the ball hadn't been out of her hand by the time the light came on, those 2 points could have been huge as far as the possibility for the tempo to overcome and win the game at the end of the game. So I'm glad Kevin Fahey did that. I'm pissed at Ryan Sassano for calling the high dribble on Marina, even though it was the right call. Those refs, Claire Simmons, bleh, Ryan Sassano, bleh. But Kevin Fahey, he's all right. He's all right. And I that's what I got from the referees from last night. But yeah, Marina Mabry, 29 minutes, 22 points on 7 of 21 shooting. She's just not efficient. That's like a third of her shots made. 5 of 14 from three. She's forcing and she's chucking. 3 for 4 from free throw line, 1 rebound, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 steal, 1 block, a minus 14, which is the worst plus minus on our team. And that's what I'm saying right there. There was a time earlier in the season where Marina was very defensive oriented along with offensive oriented. And maybe it'll be the presence of Sykes coming back that allows her to be a little bit more in the passing lanes and trying to steal stuff. Maybe she's had to play it at home kind of defense and staying back and trying to keep the ball in between her in between the ball and the hoop too much. But with Sykes back, a very premier all defensive kind of player for the WNBA, she has more free reign to gamble and jump into passing lanes and try and be a shit disturber like she was at the beginning of the season. Because in some ways, Marina has not been doing the defensive stuff that she was in the first month of the season in the last month. And maybe Sykes' reappearance in the lineup will allow her the freedom to do that again. We'll have to see, because she can roam more if Brittany's out there, is what I'm saying. But yeah, she's not adding up to winning. She may be a very good shooter and she may be fun to watch, but she's definitely not adding up to winning for us. And whether that's her making like 4 3-pointers in the fourth quarter to overpower the other team to outscore them, yeah, that's one way she could add up to winning. If she goes off and goes crazy and absolutely wins the game because she just destroys them with threes in succession, which it looked like she was starting to try and do that until the high dribble. But it's usually not winning basketball. Winning basketball is Kiki Rice and her driving to the basket and getting inside and pump faking and then putting it in. Kiki Rice has got the fundamentals in the winning kind of way that add up to winning basketball. Yeah, Kiki in the starting lineup, 30 minutes, 10 points on 4 of 12 shooting, 0 for 2 from 3, 2 for 2 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, block, and +2. So we did outscore them when Kiki was out there. Kiki's just so solid and unassuming. It's so interesting. They did an interview with her on ESPN last night, and she's talking, and she's so soft-spoken. They had to turn up the mics because they couldn't hear her at first. But she's so matter of fact, and she's such a fierce competitor. She gives me these like silent warrior vibes. Like she's a very quiet, mild-mannered person, kind of like Peter Parker. But when she puts on that tempo uniform, she's like Spider-Man, and she becomes a superhero. So that's the way I look at Kiki. She's very mild-mannered, very polite, very soft-spoken, But on the court, she's hard edged, hard nosed, and she will take it to you. And she is not afraid of contact. So it's a very interesting diametric about her. This kind of dual Kiki. But yeah, she was okay. She was solid. If anything, my complaint about Kiki Rice last night is I want you to shoot more. I want you to take those high percentage shots that you take inside because you're really good at that. And when you miss, sometimes you're getting your own offensive rebounds. And she had 3 of them last night. So that's pretty good. Isabel Harrison had bright spots at times, but she's just not since she came back from her last time out, her offense hasn't really started clicking yet. She's doing great things on defense and rebounding, but her offense has not been clicking. I remember the first game she played this season was the Chicago Sky game that I went to in person at Coca-Cola Coliseum, and she came out gangbusters. She had a phenomenal game. She hit the very first shot she took, which was a 3. It's like she was pent up and ready to get on the court so bad. That happens with players. When they have time off, they are so ready to get out there that they go off and they play at a high level. And that happened with Harrison in that Chicago game when she made her first game of the year after being hurt at the start of the season. But that Isabel's not going on right now, and I'm not totally sure what's going on. She does have a very powerful post moves where people have not been able to stop her, but you did see her get blocked by Boston at one point, a very vicious block. But in some ways, the outside shot's not going for her right now. So yeah, Isabel, 21 minutes, 8 points on 3 of 12 shooting. See, you got to shoot better. 0 for 1 from 3, 2 for 2 at the free throw line. That's good. 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. See, there's defense there. She's being active with her hands, getting 2 blocks and 2 steals. And 7 rebounds is great. So she's doing a lot of good stuff. It's just I wish her offense from the outside would wake up again and she'd start making those threes. Yuskata's struggling right now. I don't know what's going on with her exactly. She looks bigger. Like she looks really strong right now. In fact, the announcers were talking about how strong she is, but she's clumsy right now. Being able to control her body on defense and like kind of fouling people by accident. And it's hurting us. In some ways, she had a bad game. 20 minutes for Laura, 2 points on 0 of 4 shooting, 0 of 3 from 3, 2 of 4 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 2 turnovers, minus 12. So her and Marina were 2 of the worst minuses on our team. Yeah, I don't know. In some ways, Yuskata is starting right now, but I don't know if I mean Morrow's liking getting the double doubles off the bench, obviously for the record. So she probably shouldn't be starting, even though she could be starting. Anissa could be starting in the place of Yuskata. I think that part of it is, and this is symbolized by Alamond and Conde being out right now, is that these European players have been overused this year and played really heavy, and they're not used to it. As I said before, a European schedule for basketball is like 1 or 2 games a week at the most, and they're way more practice. And having so many games and less practice, it's a wear on them. They've been playing for 3 months now, and they've been playing heavy minutes, and they've been 3 of the players that have been the most available for the team during all these injuries: Conde, Alamon, and Yuskata. So there's probably a fatigue factor going on with our Lithuanian player. And hopefully she gets a good break for the FIBA break, and she's more rested when we come back. Yeah, off the bench also, Kia Nurse came out for 17 minutes, much to the delight of the hometown crowd. There's something special about a Kia for Threa in Canada, in Canadian soil, especially at the big house at the Scotiabank Arena, because that's a building that Kia covers the Raptors for. Being an announcer, an in-season, an in-studio analyst for the Raptors, Kia Nurse, that glory for the Raptors in that building. Well, her getting out there and hitting a couple of threes and hearing the roar of the crowd of the full Scotiabank Arena, that's love. That's like, I'm telling you right now, Kia Nurse, when she gets to play at Scotiabank Arena and hears the crowd go crazy when she hits a three, that's the kind of stuff that RJ and AJ Lawson it was priceless. Because who would have thought, seriously, Kia from Hamilton being such a strong Canadian, a patriotic Canadian, playing for the national team, being in the WNBA for so long to get to this point where we have a team in Canada And for her to be out there hitting threes in front of a sellout crowd at Scotiabank Arena, that's priceless. I'm telling you, that's priceless. And in fact, our guy RJ was at the game last night. He was sitting at courtside watching another great Canadian and Kia Nurse hit some threes for the hometown crowd. And he knows that hometown feeling about hitting big shots and doing big things for the Raptors in that building and how special it is for him, a kid from Ontario, just like a woman from Ontario like Kia Nurse. Yeah, Kia, 17 minutes, 8 points on 2 of 4 shooting. All 4 shots were threes. She made both her free throws also. 1 assist, 1 turnover, two steals, 1 assist, 2 steals, a +2. So she had a winning impact on the game. There were really a lot of the Tempo players that had pluses. There were a lot of them that actually were playing winning ball while they were out there. Kia Nurse, Anissa Morrow, Kiki Rice, and Brittany Sykes. But yeah, those were the players that were winning for us when they were out there. Ornella got some extra run last night, and Sandy went in talking about it at the end of the game that Bencole was out there as a defensive specialist to try and slow down Caitlin Clark. And you could tell she was guarding Caitlin a lot in the game. Now, we did see Ornella get burned by both Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark at times during the game, but she's so young and she's so new to the WNBA that she got her welcome to the WNBA moments in some ways, as Sandy described it. But she's very intrigued by the defensive possibilities of Bencole. And that's why she gave her such a tough assignment. And she felt like she did well overall. It's just that there were some moments where they burned her and made her look bad. But that's the thing. You can tell with Ornella, she's got really good wingspan and really active movement in defense. And she could be a real pest. So it's like the beginning of the journey for her. She could be really developed into a very good defensive stopper in the WNBA. It's just that she needs time and she needs to practice. And there's some good signs there. That's really not easy. You're going to go ahead, get out there, rookie. You got to guard Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark alternating. You go ahead and try and slow them down. And that was the assignment for Bencole. She did have some points. She did hit a 3, which was very timely at the time. 14 minutes, 3 points on 1 of 2 shooting from 3, 3 rebounds, and a steal for Bencole, who had solid minutes. She was a -9. Solid minutes, tough assignment, and well, she got out there and did it. So yeah, that's a look at the box score for the Tempo players. The stars are Anissa Morrow, Temi Fagbenle, and Brittany Sykes. Yeah, on the other side, let's give some credit to the efficiency of Kelsey Mitchell. Now, the things with Kelsey that happened last night were interesting. Apparently, she's been having problems with heat. Something wrong with heat. Like they said that one of the games they had recently in Atlanta, the arena was so hot inside of it. And it's weird. Like this is making me think of the CBL and Brampton Honey Badgers last week and their bullshit. Well, apparently the Scotiabank Arena was very hot last night inside of it too. It's summer. It's August. It's summer in Toronto. And maybe it's easier to keep the arena warm in the winter than it is to keep the arena cool in the summer. And well, apparently Kelsey Mitchell was being affected by the heat. Yeah. The heat of the arena was bothering her, and she had to leave the game and go to the locker room at the end of the game and not be there for the end of the game. Some way Stephanie White didn't care because she wanted to let the team try and do things without their closer, their player that is just so top notch. And she really was top notch. I mean, we kind of messed up last night. Marina poked the bear is what it seemed like. There's so much dirty stuff going on around Marina Mabrey. And some people are going to say Marina is a dirty player herself. But you know what? Tit for tat. That's what I'm going to say on this. Because there are people swiping and smacking her in the face and doing dirty stuff like holding her and all kinds of different things. And well, in some ways, there's a little bit of her going that way towards the other way. And, she did hit Kelsey in the shoulder and the face kind of area. And Kelsey got really mad at that point. And she got in her face and she pointed at her and said, "Don't you ever fucking do that again." And Marina got all feisty and was shoving back at her. I don't think those two like each other. I don't think those two like each other at all. And, it was a bit of a battle. And Kelsey was winning. The thing is, like, after that moment with Marina, She went and bombed like 2 threes on us after that and went on like an 8-point scoring run by herself. And that was, in some ways, this is somebody we don't need to poke the bear with. Seriously. I know Marina's trying to play tough defense on her and stuff like that. And the swipe was a little bit dangerous. And I can understand why Mitchell got so upset. But, this game has been like this year. I've noticed watching the WNBA more in depth, there is a lot more physicality in this league than you would think. And there is a lot of just kind of errant hands smacking people in the face or slapping people and stuff like that. And, well, this to me is just another part of it. It's not like, I think that some of these players don't totally know where their hands are going. They're not controlling them exactly. And bam, you hit somebody in the face. This is happening. And, whatever happened that moment with Marina Mabrey and Kelsey Mitchell, it benefited the Indiana Fever because it pissed off their player and she hulked up. Yeah. 24 minutes only, and she got 29 points. So it's always amazing when a scorer gets more points than the minutes they played. 29 points in 24 minutes. She shot 11 of 16, 4 of 6 from 3 of 3 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, and 1 steal, a plus 20. Yeah, Kelsey was the most powerful, best player on the court last night. And in some ways, well, Marina, you going to bow up to her and y'all going to get in a fracas? Well, where's your fire to compete and show her up? That we did see it a little bit. And there was some times where she was very determined and she was successful, but not enough and not on the efficiency of Mitchell. And that's the difference right there. Of course, Caitlin got 20 also. 33 minutes, 24 points for Caitlin Clark, 7 of 16 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3, 6 of 7 at the free throw line. She's a very good free throw shooter. 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 7 turnovers, though. And that's something that, as a young player, she needs to clean up. And she'll get better and better in her career, looking out for those turnovers because she was the epicenter of a lot of their problems with the turnovers at the end of the game, whether it was that lackadaisical dribble up the court and got caught for an 8-second call, which I appreciate the referees doing that and calling her for that. They really were given the tempo chances to really steal this one back and win it. But alas, the tempo were not capable enough and not organized enough to do it. And that's the sign we got to see happen over time. We'll see a game like this in the years to come where it's gettable and they will get it and they will win it. But that'll be a mile marker showing the progress and the distance they've come. But not this year yet. No. And if they do get this going before the end of the season, where I see some of this progress, I'll let you guys know. We'll see it. And I'll be like, yeah, okay, good. We're progressing fast because we didn't drop the ball on a winnable game where the other team was making a lot of mistakes and we could have absolutely won. And that's what happened here. Yeah, Boston, 16 points. She did get in foul trouble. As we predicted yesterday, we said a key to the game could be getting Aaliyah Boston into foul trouble. And, well, we did get her in foul trouble to a degree. But she had some key blocks also, 3 blocks for her. Timpson was very interesting. I picked her up on my fantasy team last week just before she got put in the starting lineup, and she's really been paying off for me in my WNBA fantasy league as a rebounder. 7 rebounds for Timpson, and she's been a big addition to that. And, of course, in my scouting report yesterday, I said, watch out for Sophie Cunningham, and they didn't really. Sophie has such a high percentage from 3 for the season. And, well, very efficient player, just like Kelsey. 28 minutes for Sophie Cunningham, 13 points on 3 of 4 shooting. Like, that's really good to get 13 points on only 4 shots. 3 for 3 from 3, 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Yeah, and she did get booed. She did get booed pretty bad in this game. But, yeah, that's the box score. Let's go look at the team stats real quick. They shot better than us on all 3 categories. They shot 53%, which means our defense needs to be better at making sure that their field goal percentage goes down. And we shot 39%. We missed a lot of shots. That's a big difference right there. For only losing by 6, there's ways we could have won this game considering we shot so much worse than them. 3-pointers, we made 1 more 3 than them, 12, and they made 11. But they shot 44% from 3. We shot 32% from 3. And then the free throws, they only missed 3 and shot 84%. And we missed 5 and we shot 75%. So they deserve to win when they beat us on all shooting stats. They do. But we beat them on the boards badly. In fact, This was something that Stephanie White was really upset about after the game was the offensive rebounding of Morrow and the rest of our team and how many second chance shots we were getting. Unfortunately, we get all these second shots, but we keep missing shots when we put them up. That's no good. We need to execute and make this stuff, especially if we're working hard to get extra opportunities. Let's not fail and squander them, is what I'm saying. But yeah, 18 offensive rebounds for the Tempo team altogether is fantastic. That kind of effort will normally win you a game. And that's the thing is like, which one will win, the rebounding or the better shooting? Well, the better shooting won. And yeah, 18 rebounds, 41 rebounds overall, 32 rebounds for them. So we out rebounded them +9. That's pretty good. Assisted turnover ratio still not where it should be. And neither team, 20-17 for the Fever, which is not good, and 19-12 for us, which is a little bit better. But we needed to find more connection amongst our players and getting more assists. In some ways, 19 assists and a Sandy Brondello offense is not right. She wants something like 25. So they should have had more connection and finding each other and maybe a little less isolation. You know, Brittany and Kiki can do a lot in isolation on their own, one-on-one, to beat people. And they will cut down on the assist number if they're relied on to do isolation moves all the time. You know, let's see, points in the paint. They won 50-32. That was an area we could have done better. We need interior defense better. Yeah, but we did get out on the break a bit, 17 fast break points. Yeah, it's a tough game because once again, like the Dallas game last week, this is a winnable game. 2 games in a row that they played where it's winnable and they just don't have the know-how and the way to do it to complete it. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating because in some ways I can see this like with the Raptors, and they would be at the point where like, yeah, they made mistakes and we were playing a certain way. We stole the game from them. But we got to build history and we got to build time with the Tempo. And they're still learning. They're still learning and they're at different levels right now. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Let's keep going with the chat. Just a Guest is back today. Cool to see Just a Guest. 2 mascots are cool, Rabbit and Turtle. Yeah, I think it's cool too. Dez and Dot, you know. Yeah, Dot likes something like what was the word? It's like surviving and thriving or something like that. it's like I don't know. It's weird because yesterday I saw the rabbit in my yard and it just appeared like I have a rabbit that lives in my yard that is not scared of me. And I think it likes being in my aura because it'll come and get like within 15 feet of me. And when I was outside one day and I was just standing there talking on the phone to Adriana, the rabbit ran straight up to me, like didn't run away from me, wasn't right. It ran towards me and stood like a couple feet away from me and just sat there eating grass while I was talking on the phone with her. I don't know. Maybe I should have seen the signs that a rabbit was coming to be a mascot for our team. Just a guess. Great to see you in the chat again. I hope you keep coming back. Trevor J saying this. We all know why the Tempo are losing because we don't have enough players to play. So I'm not going to stress myself over this season because it doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, it's the injuries. The injuries have hurt. I mean, like I said, that comment by Leo Routens is saying, this team isn't good enough to win with people missing. You have to have all your players available to be able to compete. And he said that about the Raptors a few times in the years past. And this is definitely the case for the Tempo. If we had ideal health this whole season, our record probably would be way better. We could have 20 wins by now, maybe, possibly, maybe 15 wins, 5 more wins than what we got if we'd just been a little bit more healthy. But, also the schedule was super easy at the beginning and it's very hard at the end. So this is a big part of why it is also the way it is. It's part of it. Infamous is saying, salute freaks, not mad at all. Let's be honest. Part of the reason it was close was because Mitchell was out. I mean, yeah, I said that, but still, the factor is that the possibilities are there and teams need to do whatever the situation is in the game and read it and go for it. I don't care if Mitchell's out there or not. We could still beat them even with her out there. So I know that you're a big Kelsey Mitchell glazer, Infamous. So you're going to prop her up every time you can. In some ways, I don't like her now because I didn't like the attitude in the fight with her and Mabry. And that kind of, to me, it's like, okay, you can be shooken. See, because I thought she was a very like professional person. That's kind of like a very good matter of fact, but she showed a little bit of a diva there. And I lost respect for Kelsey Mitchell last night. I'm not gonna be lie because she lost her cool. Marina actually got her pissed off, and she lost her cool. So, I mean, I respect her as a player, and she's very powerful. But in some ways, I lost respect for that. Look, and I can get it. Fever fans are saying that Marina Mabrey is so dirty today. They hate her. They're all over this comments on the WNBA highlights for the game last night saying Mabrey's trash. She's so awful the way she's fouling people and hurting people and doing all this stuff. You know, that whole situation with her and Mitchell, in some ways it's like, look, she's a good player. I had a lot of respect for her, but in some ways I lost a little bit last night. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, let's just put it that way. Infamous is saying this chemistry is missing because we have people in and out of the lineup. Sabali didn't play, and we're going up against one of the best teams in the league. I don't think the Fever are one of the best teams in the league. I'm going to say that once again. They're a tier below the best teams in the league. They may be second or third tier. Way they played the end of the game was awful, and they're going to lose in the playoffs if they play that bad. Seriously, I'm looking at quality here, and I know what quality is. And I'm telling you right now, the two best teams in the league are the Lynx and the Aces, and one of those two teams is going to win the championship. And then after that, the teams that I think are the most quality after that are the Wings and the Dream. I put the Fever below all four of those teams. I really do. Art is here. Good to see Art back in the chat. Art was a big supporter for Sandy yesterday. Let's see what he's saying today. Sandy Brondello is an excellent coach. They will be back better next year, and Tempo will be in the playoffs. Mark my words. I love that prediction by Art. And I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of work to do to get to that. That's right. That's right. Nameless is saying this. What kind of backhanded shit is that? An expansion team not being afforded the same rules and protection as any other team in the league? That's a great incentive for future prospective franchises, creating a second class organization right from inception. Well, that's the thing. In some ways, they put us behind the eight ball from the start, and Portland too. We're the only two teams that are going to come in with another team the same year where we have to share the expansion draft. When Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Detroit come in the next few years, they're all come in by themselves. If they really were fair, they would have had everybody come in 1 year at a time. We shouldn't have came in with Portland at the same year. It should have been 1 year at a time if it's really totally on the up and up in a fair league, like the Golden State Valkyries got all the luxuries of last year. So, and then you add to it, not only did we come in together with another team and sharing their expansion draft, there was a work stoppage, which is totally uncommon and not normal at all, where they totally screwed up our prep in the season leading up to it. Yeah, some of it's fishy as fuck. And it's not fair at all. It's not we're not starting from a fair playing ground. We just aren't. That's just the truth. And the Portland Fire, to a degree, it's the same thing also, for sure. So it'll be a lot easier for the Cleveland Sirens with their bullshit coming in as the only team their year. And, it is what it is. In some ways, it's just like with the Raptors. We have things stacked against us. We have to overcome more than the other teams, and we will. And we will do it. And it'll be very rewarding when we do. Yeah. If they don't let us have like the top pick in the draft and we're the worst team in the league, and it's even more bullshit. I mean, honestly, they should compensate us for the bullshit of the CBA work stoppage and the fact that we had to come in with Portland Fire together and say, yeah, the Tempo can have the number one pick in the draft next year. They should do that. But if there's some convoluted ass rule where an expansion team can't have the number one pick in the draft, Allen Iverson, then this league is just not fair. And it's not. And a lot of fans have already been turned off from watching the Tempo because they realize that it's not totally a fair league. The refereeing is biased. The schedule's all fucked up, obviously, things like that. That's right. Nameless is good to see you, Nameless. Say hi to you. That's right. Seymour Pape is here. I got to clear my throat. Salute from the Mountain Time region. Good morning, you Seymour. Good to see you. Nameless is saying it's a disgrace for humanity how North America handles the vulnerable sector of the population. Yeah. I mean, people are good. People are a resource. People are you're only as strong as your people. And if you don't take care of your people and all this other stuff, man, that's a big problem. That's the biggest problem with the predatory capitalist society that we live in. Is everybody's just trying to make a buck and they don't care about humanistic issues. And humanistic issues are probably more important than any of that trying to make a buck bullshit. Seriously. Yeah, Infamous is saying Juju Watkins, they call her the female MJ, her Hiana Hidalgo. I don't know if that's her name, of Notre Dame, defensive and offensive beast. We get a shot at these two. Our future is extremely bright. Trust me. Well, we can't get both of them. We get a shot at either one. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't study drafts, but I've heard the name Juju Watkins a lot. That's for sure. That's right. That's right. Bizarro World. What are you saying? Bizarro World? Okay. Reggie's here. Good morning, Reggie. Apparently, there might be a tariff deal in place for Canada US. We will know out Friday. I don't care. It's all a sideshow anyway. I don't care about this. The damage is done. I'm not changing my behavior just because some sort of deal happens. No, fuck that. I'm still just buying Canadian. In fact, we'll go over the product for today. It's Unico. Unico artichoke hearts, marinated artichoke hearts. You know, Unico is a Canadian company. Unico was established in 1917 to cater to the growing Mediterranean community in Toronto. Former founder Edward Pasquale, his culture, Edward Pasquale's objective was clear. He wanted to bring the culture of Italian eating to every Canadian table by becoming the country's leading distributor of authentic Mediterranean-style ingredients and products. After 2 generations of Pasquale family ownerships, Unico passed through 3 successive corporate ownerships. In 1997, Unico once again became a family-managed business when Sunbright Foods purchased the company. So yeah, this is a Canadian company that established to give Italian flavor to families from the Mediterranean here in Toronto. So Unico, you know this brand. If you see this name, that is definitely a Canadian company. And these are artichoke hearts. So check it out. And in honor of my Italian friend, we did Unico today. There you go, Nameless. That's right, Unico. There you go. Yeah, I don't care about the tariff shit. This is all sideshow. It's not like anything that has to do with Trump is real anymore. Whether it's him talking about Iran and deals, why would you believe this, guys? Why would you even listen to this stuff about tariffs and deals? It's not like Trump makes deals. He reneges on them. He changes them. It's totally confusing. I'm not paying attention to any of this shit. The only thing I care about is Mark Carney keeps Canada strong and protected and doesn't fall for any bullshit from dumbass down south, the child rapist. So it's like, whatever news you want to hear about tariffs and deadlines and stuff like that, go ahead and listen to it if you want to. It's all hot air and bullshit. Because what? He's going to do all this stuff, and then next week he's going to say, Canada pissed me off, so I'm putting tariffs back on them. He's so erratic and so full of shit and lying half the time. And half the shit, just listen to how he talks about the Iran deals that he keeps striking and stuff like that. He's not making any deals. Iran's not listening to him anymore. And then he's putting up a meme saying that it's Strait of Hormuz is American territory now. He's so delusional. And anything that comes out about any deals or striking deals with Canada and US, I don't believe any of that shit, because this man can't be trusted to hold to any deals because he changes shit so quickly. So I wouldn't put any weight into any of this bullshit. Seriously, I wouldn't put any of that weight into that, Reggie. Seriously, it's a non-story to me. Who cares what this bullshit posturing child rapist is doing with their bullshit? In some ways, we need to just be independent and worry about ourselves. Who cares what Americans and their tariffs and all their bullshit is doing? We're doing fine up here. Our economy's kicking ass, and they're floundering down south. You know, my parents are in town right now, and they went to the grocery store recently here in Canada, and my mom said that the groceries up here are cheaper than in the United States right now. That in living in Atlanta, and this is with the conversion rate with Canadian prices, that their groceries down in Atlanta at this point have a higher price on the tag than the Canadian. And this is in Canadian dollars versus US. This is how bad it is down there right now. So whatever we're doing fine. In fact, Carney could tell Trump to fuck off. I don't give a shit. Do your tariffs. Because honestly, the tariffs will go to the American taxpayers. That's who pays for tariffs. We don't. We're not going to pay for it, especially if we're continuing to pivot towards Canadian products like I have, we're only strengthening our economy. We're hurting their bottom line because we're turning away from their products, and it's working. The jobs reports are showing over and over again Canada's economy is growing right now. We are increasing our job totals, and they are shrinking their job force down in the United States. So that's the important things to hear. It's not about whether there's a dog and pony show that Donald Trump has said, we got an agreement with Canada. Don't believe that shit. The art of the deal, the art of making up fake deals, going back on it, reneging on it, and changing it and doing all this is what Donald Trump is. You can't trust anything that motherfucker says. He's going to change his opinion or change things. It's like he changes his underwear. It's like, seriously. So this is not news because I fully expect some crazy ass headline next week where Trump says he's pissed off because the Tempo mascot made fun of him. So he's putting tariffs on the Canada again. It's so unstable genius, idiot genius, not a genius, a fucking child rapist, that you can't take any of this news for being real. Seriously, you can hear this and think that, and in the next couple of days, it's flipped on its side, and it's absolutely not true anymore. So yeah, we control what we can control. Where you put your money, that's what I say. You spend it on Canadian products, and we're doing fine. We don't even need to worry about the U.S. The U.S. can bury itself with their stupid leadership and their tariffs and their bullshit. Because once again, the people that pay for the tariffs are the poor, ordinary citizens of the United States that are already getting gouged by a horrible child rapist leader right now. That's just the truth right there. Yeah. Seymour saying Marina is my favorite WNBA player. Please, no slander. I know it's hard to hear, but I really do see the signs of this. That in some ways, it's like she's a sizzle player and not totally a steak player. And it hurts me to say that. You know, in the beginning of the year, I thought that Slim was the one that I was like, yeah, maybe we don't keep Slim, but Marina is a keeper. I think that might have changed now. For me personally, that Brittany Sykes seems like she's more important to our team as a leader on both ends of the court. And that Marina is just a big gun that does a really cool thing, but is not necessarily a winning type player. And you can take that as slander, but in some ways, she needs to tighten up and be more efficient and be a little bit more polished in certain ways. And she can do that. Her drives to the basket and her work inside the lane more recently is a really good part of it. But she has to strive for an efficiency. And if she can look like Kelsey Mitchell with her shooting percentage and her efficiency, well, she's there then. She's there then. And she's at the highest level in the league, just like Mitchell. So Smooth saying Mabry won't be on the team next year, in my opinion. She's like Mike James. I don't know if that's true. I think she's really enjoyed being on Toronto, and I think her contract's for 2 years. So she will be on the team again next year. I think partly because she has a contract that goes through to next year too. I think that's that. Or Lamont Murray. She's like Lamont Murray. That's not right. She's at least Mike James. Come on now. Leading scorer. Come on now. G's here. Good morning to G. They were not ready for that many people or poor execution, not having the AC on properly. Kelsey overheated. Clark averaged 9.4 assists last 11 games. So they did a decent job limiting her assists. Yeah, she had that one pass to Boston. It was fantastic. Wow, that cut through the lane that Aaliyah did, and then Caitlin just hit her right in stride for her to make that really nice basket. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Caitlin Clark's assists have been good, but her turnovers are bad too. I don't know what the problem is with the Scotiabank Arena with heat. I don't think that a hot arena is actually that bad. As long as the floor is not slippery and having full condensation, being in a warm arena is not that big a deal. But this is a kid who grew up in Florida. So it's like, yeah, I've been in hot basketball arenas and played in very hot situations myself. You know, I played in an old pizza warehouse with no air conditioning in the middle of July and August in Florida when it was like 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And we play for hours. And we'd even be drinking while we're doing it, drinking beers and getting dehydrated. And we're still out there playing because we're young 20-year-olds who could do this. And we had all the energy in the world. And, you know, playing on a hot summer day all day at Mama's Pizza Warehouse. Oh, yeah, those were the days. That was fun for me. Either way, it's like these are athletes. Why is she getting overheated? Come on now. That's weak sauce, honestly. That's weak sauce to me. And honestly, I bet you that arena wasn't that bad. I bet you it wasn't because it's a big arena and they can figure it out. It's a professional, huge arena. and they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Seymour saying she plays with more heart than your Rockets or Spurs. Than your Rockets or Spurs? I'm not for the Rockets. I am for the Spurs. I'm only for Fred VanVleet. No, listen, I'm not. Listen, you think I'm shading Marina or doubting her? I'm only saying something that's painfully true. Is that, this is the thing about offensive players like that take a lot of shots and miss a lot of shots. And also, in some ways, she can get us out of things that are winning ways on our team because of things like swatting Kelsey Mitchell or things like that. There's different aspects of players, and there's negative and positive things about players. And there's definitely some sides to Marina that are negative for our team and not helping us to win. So, that's the thing. She's got to maximize her positives and decrease her negatives. And she will. She will. She's been a work in progress this whole time. She's had a huge jump this year, and she's being used on a whole different level than ever in her WNBA career. So this is normal for her to have inefficiencies with higher usage. It's just that she's got to tighten up and be more efficient on the regular with the higher usage, is what I'm saying. Infamous is saying Slim is an amazing player. Her change of pace, athleticism, and poise are unmatched. I underestimated how much of a leader she is. While she's been out these last 2 months, she's been very much coaching. She's been very much on top of people. She said she's gone, like in the interview after the game, she said she's gone and had really tough talks with some of the players while they were playing about effort and playing better. There's been times in this losing streak where Sandy has not been happy with the overall commitment to putting out energy to try and compete by some of the players. And Sykes has been one of those people as a person out that's been in people's ears, like coaching them and egging them on and saying, you can't do this. You got to be better. I mean, she even said that there's been a couple times in this summer when they've been losing that she's done a locker room riot act where she's coming into the locker room and been that tough, hard-nosed person that's gone off on people for saying, you're not doing this enough. You're not doing this enough. And why are you not doing this and this and this? So she's quality control for a certain level of standard of trying to be successful in the WNBA after 10 years of a very successful career herself individually. And on a first-year team, she understands what it takes, and she's trying to get it across to our young team. We got to remember once again that this year we've had 8 rookies on our team overall the course of the year. We've had 8 rookies at different times. 8 people that had never played in the WNBA showed up and played for the first time in the WNBA for the Toronto Tempo this year. So somebody with 10 years experience like Brittany Sykes is extremely valuable for quality control. Extremely valuable. That's right. Yeah. Salute to Marina. That's right. Listen, I don't want you to get twisted. I love Marina Mabry. She's always going to be a big part of our team. But to be not a total homer, I have to kind of point out some of the negative sides of things. That's all. That's all. Smooth saying Juju Watkins. That's right. Juju Watkins. That's right. Infamous is saying the schedule makers are evil for having us play again tonight. I know. It's like, why didn't you spread these games out? We just had 5 days off. We could have had this game at Scotiabank Arena on Saturday or Sunday this weekend after a game in Dallas on Wednesday. We had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. And now we're playing Tuesday and Wednesday and then Friday and then Sunday. So we have 4 games in 6 nights coming up right now. 4 games in 6 nights. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just not, it's all jammed up. And as Sandy said in the interview yesterday, it's like we have 2 back-to-backs before the end of this month. And it's the 19th of August. And they've got another back-to-back where they go to Vegas and then Phoenix on the 28th and the 29th. It's like, spread this out easier. It's like the schedule makers know that they do this. And I'm telling you, this is the new diabolical way that they're fucking with the Raptors. They'll give all the off days to the Raptors in a row in February where they don't really need them, and they're just going to get a week off, and that'll get them off the rhythm. Those days would be much better off individually spent in between where the games are really thick in November, December, and January than having all of their days off in one 10-day period, and they're off for a second all-star break all of a sudden. It's really fucked up. It's like fucking with the rhythm. Like I said, if players know that they're playing every other day, their bodies can get in a natural rhythm of recoup and play, rehab and play, rehab and play. But when they do it erratic, where they're like, this is a long stretch, you have no games, and then boom, we're dumping 3 out of 4 days of games. They're trying to make people get hurt. That's what it looks like to me. If they give people schedules like this, they are increasing the likelihood of people getting hurt because they have to go so on and off with no rhythm that it's like Elaine dancing on Seinfeld. Because there's no rhythm to this. You can't get a rhythm from this schedule with the tempo right now with your body. You just went all out against the Fever, and now you have to go back on the court against Austin and the Mystics tonight. And you just had 5 days of hanging around at home and sitting around and recouping. Yeah, it's messed up. They need to spread this out better. And they're doing this for certain teams like the Philadelphia 76ers, but they're not doing it for other teams, and they're making them have diabolical schedules like this. That's the problem right there. That's it right there. Get Juju Watkins. Get Juju Watkins. G saying, what do you think of the Mascots? I don't think they're bad. I don't know. In some ways, I do have a problem with having a turtle mascot because there's a lot of dumb jokes that can come from this. They're already doing it. Some people are saying, well, we were on turtle mode last night instead of rabbit mode because we lost and we played a slow tempo. So we're obviously the turtle. In some ways, the announcers joked about it last night. They're saying this league is all hares now. It's like there's no tortoise teams anymore with a slow tempo. Well, I even have a tortoise mascot. Maybe it's to set the tone of the whole tale of the tortoise and the hare. The fast and the slow and steady wins the race, which is the ultimate story, is that the tortoise wins even though they're slow. The hare runs all over the place and messes up, and the tortoise wins the race at the end, right? Right? I don't know. They have to grow on me. Some people are saying that Dot's eyes are too close together and they're freaking them out. They're just like, oh, look at the rabbit's eyes. They're like so close together. It's kind of scary. Maybe they have to spread their eyes out a little bit more. And the evolving of the look of Dot, the hare, her eyes need to be a little bit more apart. Excuse me. Yeah. Smooth saying, hey, I'm a very casual WNBA fan, so don't mind me. No, you're fine. Juju Watkins is a good plan. I only go on what I see, and I see an expansion team with only 1 or 2 ladies that will be on the team next year. Am I wrong? No, I think there'll be more of a carryover than that. You are wrong. Kiki Rice will be back next year. So you got to understand some of these contracts. I think the Marina and the Slim contracts are for 2 years. So both of them should be back next year. Tiani Key, she's a rookie from this year, and she's somebody we're developing. We're going to bring her back. Temmie's, I believe, on a contract again next year. I forget. Cass told us that she is under contract again next year, I think. He fact-checked that. There's going to be some people that come back. I would say that it's possible that some of the Europeans aren't back next year. But some of the Europeans aren't back. I'd like Yescada to hang around, Conde, Alamon, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see who gets held on to and how they can upgrade their roster with the draft and free agency in this offseason coming up. Yeah. Yeah. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam, and happy back-to-back game day. Yeah. Happy about it? Not really happy about it. It's wrong. My 4 stars are Sykes, Mabry, Morrow, and the mascot Dez. Okay, that's your 4 stars. It's 4 stars. We do 3 stars, so you could do 4, I guess. Trevor J saying this. Michelle said last night the only arenas to play in front of this crowd is Valkyrie's always full. Michelle? Who's Michelle? Who are you talking about, Michelle? Who the fuck is Michelle? I don't even know who that is. Like Michelle? Who's Michelle? There's nobody on either team named Michelle. I don't know anybody named Michelle. Smith saying this. His sister replied, see you soon. His sister? Whose sister? His sister replied, see you soon. I'm not sure who you're talking about. All right, Marvelous is here. Marvelous 567. Good morning, Raptor Street. Good morning to you, Marvelous. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, and hopefully you enjoy my show. Fiercely saying, I appreciate Temmie hitting 3-pointers yesterday, but her contract should have been Niara's in respect to the pay. Well, part of it is the youth. Niara is not totally proven as Fagbenle is in her career, and Temmie's up there. She's an older player, So that's part of it. And some of it was attracting her to come to our team when we needed a big after Austin's contract was matched by Washington. So it was a contingency plan, a backup plan to get Temmie because we did want to get Austin originally, but it didn't happen. So Temmie was the center we had to get. Now I get it. While you're saying, you could say Niara deserves her money more than she does, but Temmie, I want to lay off Temmie. She really showed something last night, and I was proud of her. And I think that in some ways, Temmie, much like Slim, is an older vet who's trying to keep certain standards around the team in more ways than we actually can tell from the outside. And like on the inside, she's teaching the 8 rookies on our team how to be professionals in certain ways. And there's also a whole cultural and mindful aspect of Fagbenle that's helpful with this team too. I think that's true. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Marvelous is saying East Group A is about to be fun. Yeah, I think that the Raptors got a really good group to be in with teams that are very beatable. I think we got the Nets, the Bucks, the Magic, and the Pistons. And out of those teams, the Magic and the Pistons seem like the biggest threats. The Bucks have lost Giannis, and they should be really bad this year. The Nets are the Nets. So there's two patsies in the Group A right away. Detroit, I don't think they'll be anywhere near as good as they were record-wise last year. They were the number 1 team in the East, and that's part of the reason why this group is so easy, because I feel like the Detroit Pistons are going to look bad this year, and Orlando's a wild card. We could see, is there further development with Paulo and the Franz and what they're doing there? They've also switched their coach now. Uh, we'll just have to see what Orlando looks like this year. In some ways, I don't have any faith in them to change much and still be kind of a middle of the pack team. But who knows? There always is a potential that the Magic get their shit together and they're a lot more dangerous than they've been in the past. So yeah, great comment, Marvelous. Bring it up, East Group A, and I feel like the Raptors have a good chance to win that group, just like they won their Group A last year. We won Group A last year too. So we could win Group A as 2 years in a row. That's a good accomplishment. That's right. G saying, I wish the mascots were T and Dot, as in the T Dot. That would have been clever. The tortoise and the hare is growing on me, a play on tempo and speed. Yeah, that's the whole deepness of it. I mean, it took 2 mascots to get that joke in, though. Yeah, a lot of people were saying they wish the tortoise was named T and that the hare was Dot and it would be T Dot. Yeah, a lot of people have said that. But it's Dez and Dot. It's alliteration of the D's, Dez and Dot. And some people are making jokes about switching the D with the L for the turtle. And that's what they're saying right now. They're saying that. But yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity, but I can understand why they didn't make it that way. I think that the turtle in some ways should be green, although it's a blue turtle, and it looks kind of weird. In some ways, it's hard to tell that the mascot suit is exactly a turtle. In some ways, you could think it's like one of these bugs from Cirque du Soleil. The last couple years, they had a bug show at Cirque du Soleil like a couple summers ago, and everybody's dressed up as different bugs. Because in some ways, the blue in the shell makes it look like a blue beetle and not necessarily like a turtle. I don't get turtle from it. Like, in fact, the way that the shell was hanging on the back of it, it looked more like wings of an insect. And in some ways, Dez, the turtle, kind of looks like a beetle to me, like a beetle and not totally like a turtle. It needs a little bit of more maybe shaping on the face so that it has more pronounced snapping nose to look more like a turtle. I think that the face of Dez doesn't look right now. And that you need to make it look more like a turtle because it doesn't say turtle first. You have to tell people it's a turtle because in some ways it looks like a winged insect. To me, it looks like a ladybug that's blue or something, or some sort of weird blue beetle. If I have a criticism of the way that particular mascot looks, the bunny looks like a bunny. It's easy to do a bunny, but the turtle does not look totally like a turtle. And they could make it look more like a turtle by maybe making the nose more like a turtle's nose, like big and prominent with a hook, because it don't look right now. It don't look right. It looks like a bug to me. It looks like one of them bugs from Cirque du Soleil 2 summers ago. And Teresa Resch, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. You know, you love Cirque du Soleil. That's right. That's right. Infamous is saying the marketing and sales surrounding the mascots have a significant potential. WNBA fans across the United States are enthusiastic about them and envious. Yeah, I think the response by general WNBA fans around the league has been mostly positive. I think that some of the Tempo fans have been negative about it. Like, there's been real idiots on Reddit that have been saying stuff like, "Well, this is it. This is garbage. Why? This is the best they could come up with." Is dumb stuff like that they're saying. But the overall, I think like general WNBA fans from across the league have been very positive in their response to our release and what we're doing. So it's interesting. I don't know. There may be just idiots in Tempo Nation that just can't be happy with their dumb stuff and getting all mad about dumb stuff like that. So who knows? It could be something like that. Let's see. But there's definitely a lot of opportunities with two of them for marketing. That's for sure. G saying this: Dream beat Aces and Fever beat them twice. Aces are vulnerable, in my opinion. The only way the Aces are vulnerable is when, I saw Becky Hammond got thrown out early last night. They get vulnerable when they get bored and they're not like, because they've been winning so much for so many years. And they're just like, in some ways, to stay at that high level, it's hard. But, when you have vets like Wilson and Young and the rest of them, they know how to turn it on when it matters. And it could very well be, some of the stuff during the regular season, they're slouching or kind of like, this isn't the real season. The real season's after. As long as we get our seed and we're involved in the postseason, we'll be fine. So there's I get a little bit of that feeling for them that way. So I wouldn't judge them on certain things during the regular season because this season is different than the postseason. And when they get the postseason, they'll tighten up and they will be at a level where they can be. I really believe that. I really believe that. Yeah, Fiercely saying we need payback against Washington. No sweep, please. Well, we should just get used to being swept by every team this year. Pretty much every team we're getting swept by. And it's just how it is. As of last night, Indiana won their series with us 2-0. We have one more game against the Fever at Coca-Cola in September, but we can't win the series because they've won two games out of the three already. So, these are all milestones. Once again, we got to learn how to compete, come close to winning, and not win, and then get close enough to steal a game here and there, but then get good enough to be consistent to steal games and win them often. It's all a curve, and some of it will be all right. We don't want to get swept by teams. We got to beat them at least once. And then over the years, okay, we're evening out with them. Can we win the season series against them? Okay, we're good, so good now. Can we sweep teams now? It's a learning curve, and over time we'll progress, and hopefully we'll have, these mile markers and these achievements more and more as time goes on. But right now we're in a year where we're going to get swept by people. Next year, hopefully we're going to be thinking, well, we don't want to get swept by them. Let's at least get one of the games this season against this team. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of this. That's right. That's right. Fiercely saying the Mystics struggled last season as part of the process. Yeah, they're very young. They're very, very young, and they're ahead. They're ahead. Considering that most of their team is first or second year players, the fact that they're playing this tight and this well and winning this way is very impressive. Honestly, the Washington Mystics have had a really good year this year, considering their ages and how old they are. They're a very young team. Very, very young team. And in fact, at the beginning of the season, when we played them at the very beginning of the year, I was factoring in that the Tempo were actually the vet team compared to the Mystics with years experience because of players like Mabry and Sykes, and in fact, Benley. But it didn't matter because they were more together and on the same page. And in some ways, their talent is melding together and figuring things out faster. We have not been able to meld together. We have not been able to get chemistry like the Mystics have. And that's a big part of it right there. That's a big part of it. G saying this: Sandy in the post game said she wanted to play Sykes more, but it wasn't her decision. That's probably Dr. Nora then. Dr. Nora saying it. I mean, Sykes and Sandy probably both wanted to play her more, but the medical staff said, you're pushing it. You're pushing it. You already went 6 minutes over what we recommended. That's tough. That's tough, especially when Sykes moving so well. She seems fine. And it makes sense that, like, she's winning and helping us win when she's out there in her minutes. You want to play her when it matters at the end, right? But you couldn't. You couldn't. Yeah. You couldn't. That's right. Like a clam. Like a clam. Laugh out loud. Like a clam. Where's that? That non sequitur. That's weird. Like a clam. What does that mean? That was you wanted a clam mascot? That don't make no sense. Infamous is saying Slim performs well in interviews and Morrow is poised for greatness. I really like the dog in Morrow. I mean, that's the thing. In some ways, that's the kind of attitude and work that we need on this team more. There's certain players that have this. Kiki Rice and Anissa Morrow, top notch for having dog, for having toughness, for having a compete level, for having a certain level of standards and pride in how they do things. Morrow leading the NCAA in rebounding for 2 seasons while she was in college, that's a huge accomplishment. She led the whole entire women's college basketball in rebounding for 2 seasons. She had the most rebounds. So it really does show who she is and what she's all about. And she is a very high level professional. And her and Kiki Rice have a lot in common. And that's why those birds of a feather, I want more to flock together. Those kind of players and those kind of attributes is what we need more of on our team, is stuff like Morrow and Rice. Definitely, definitely. Yeah. Mr. Greg is here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Mr. Greg. Good to see you on this preview and reaction moment. Mr. Greg saying, I agree with everything I've heard you say, Lex, but the missed free throws down the stretch by Mabry and Izzy were crucial. Yes. Yes. I'm glad you pointed that out. That was part of the dropping of the ball when the door was opened by the Fever. Is like, look, they're making mistakes. If y'all play perfect, if you get some stops, you could actually win this game. But the missed free throws are a huge momentum killer, especially when every single one of those. Yuskata missed a free throw or two that were important at the end that absolutely deflated us also. So, yeah, totally agree with Mr. Greg, and he agrees with what I'm seeing too. As far as missed free throws down the stretch will mess you up bad. And Isabel and Marina had some free throws they missed, and Yuskata too. Good game saying this. There are some WNBA players that always carry, and it's never called. In this case, it was so obvious, so think they needed to call it. Part of it, I think, is because it was so high up. And it did, if you're really analyzing that high dribble that Marina did, she did utilize it to get further away from the defender while carrying the ball. And that's where it's egregious. Like, it's one thing to carry, like to do a little bit of a hold of the ball on top of your hand and then bring it down. But when you're bringing it up and then coming over and moving at the same time, you're obviously carrying the ball because you're moving fast to get to a spot. And that's just one of your ways to avoid the defender from getting the ball, is coming up high. And she definitely carried the ball. It was the right call by Ryan Sassano. But at the same time, in the high pressure situations near the end of the game, in some ways with a superstar, you allow that kind of shit to go by sometimes. Because she did make the shot after the whistle in that moment. And if she makes that three, well, this game, once again, is even more winnable for the Tempo. But alas, it's like they got to really look at the time on the clock, how many possessions they have, and they really need to execute. And there's no execution that's solidly dependable from the Tempo, whether it's getting a stop at the end for a defensive stop, or you're on this possession, you need a score absolutely to close the gap and to be able to have the best level to compete and win this game. That's the problem, is they get in opportunities. The other team makes mistakes and you have a chance, but you're not capitalizing and making sure you get that score at the other end after their mistake. That was a problem last night. That was a problem last night, for sure. For sure. That's right. Infamous is saying Marina is going to be okay when she has more talent, which will equal more spacing. Juju. I think that part of it is when Sykes has been out, she's been relied on so much as the only big gun that it's hurt her game in a way. It's made it more like this with me talking about inefficiency and stuff. If there's more of a true balance between Sykes and Mabry, then it's not as egregious, the inefficiency of Mabry, because in some ways, Sykes being that other counterattack, and even Rice as a third prong, you can limit Marina to be more efficient and more in a smaller dose with the more balanced attack between the three of them. You know, I think that's part of it, and she's had to carry so much with Rice and Sykes out that she's been in that mode for most of this summer. I think that's a big part of it right there. G saying this, Mabry has been one of the only healthy players. See, this is G once again saying something that I didn't even see it, and I'm saying exactly what he said. One of the most healthy players on this year, and has had to carry with different lineups. This is exactly what I just said. I didn't read this ahead of time. So once again, G and I have a similar brain. This has been going on for years. I give her grace because she has had a ton of responsibilities this year. Oh, for sure. I don't want anybody to think I'm dissing her or I hate her. Or I don't want her on this team. I'm just pointing out the aspect of where she could get better, because that's what we do on this channel. In some ways, we want to be homers and love our team unconditionally, but also at the same time, we're trying to get better and we're trying to improve our outcomes. And this is all I'm saying here. I mean, we can be sensitive. You guys can jump all over me like a Caitlin Clark fan or an Angel Reese fan for coming at Mabry a little bit this morning. But it comes from a pure place in my heart of positivity and wanting to help the tempo, and not just a troll who just wants to put her down and say she's this or that. No, I am saying this because I want us to improve. That's why. It's all for good reason. That's right. That's right. Infamous is saying Marina is going to be okay when she has more talent. Oh, yeah, I already read that. Mr. Greg saying RJ looks just like his father. Yeah, it's so cool to see RJ at courtside watching the game last night. So cool to see him there. And I guess he's back from Europe. And the Raptors training camp that they had last week in Paris. And yeah, he's back stateside. Scotty came to a Tempo game earlier this season at Scotiabank, the last one at Scotiabank. Well, RJ's come to Scotiabank to watch it this time. And it's interesting how they come to Scotiabank and they're not showing up at Coca-Cola. They come to Scotiabank to see it. Yeah. Yeah, we love you, RJ. And man, he was smiling big. He had such a good time seeing the tempo up close like that. He's such a real Torontonian, real man for our city. That's right. Cool Cat saying this. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Lex, why did you think the air conditioning was off? Malfunction or a memory? This is like a very hot part of the year in Ontario. And, we don't deal with this with the Raptors because obviously they're in the off season. This was an issue for the CBL with their game in Brampton last week, and they had to call it off because the floor was too wet for them to play safely. And they had to cancel the game altogether in Brampton because of humidity and condensation. And there was a little bit of a worry about that at the beginning of the game when they stopped the game and they were talking about the floor being wet in certain areas. But the state of the art building like the Scotiabank Arena with the conversion staff that I've talked about recently, where they really monitor the temperature of the ice for the leafs and the court on top and the settings and stuff. It's just humidity. It's just it's a humid part of the summer. Because gate 1 is closed at Scotiabank Arena right now for remodeling. This could very well be Ed Rogers III fucking with the tempo and making it harder for their fans to come into the arena by doing remodeling in the off season like this at gate 1, closing it, which is the main entrance from Union Station. So people had to come around the sides and come into the side gates outside. Think about it that way. They're not coming in from the inside where it's air conditioning through the main entrance from Union Station, where the guy stands with the megaphone and yells, "Y'all get in line, come on now!" And, oh, that guy's awesome. The guy who helps the line at Gate 1 at Raptors games. No, think about it. They're all lining up outside, and with the heat coming in through the doors. And this is what they blamed the problem in the CBL on, was that it had rained, there was humidity in the air, and while all the fans were coming in the arena, the humidity came in with them. So there's a bit of heating up in the arena just from the doors being open and fans coming in like crazy for the game. And it's summertime, and basketball games in Canada are not used to this humidity and this issue. So, I mean, like I said, I'm a Florida boy. Growing up in Florida and playing in hot gyms does not bug me, but I can get where people are not used to having a hot arena and having to deal with that. Yeah. Fiercely saying this while I was watching the Aces versus Dream game, ESPN gladly shaded us and said there was no AC at the game. Well, they don't know what they're talking about. That's BS. It's just in some ways, look, we're in Canada. It's just true that a lot of people don't have very good air conditioning up here because we don't need it most of the year. How much of the year do we need air conditioning in Canada? Maybe for 2 months, right? Down south, they need air conditioning for like 9 months of the year. So in Atlanta and in Florida, they have really good air conditioning, but they don't have good heaters. In the winter, if it gets really cold, they're screwed because they don't have that aspect. We have the vice versa. We have really good heaters and not very good air conditioning. And down south, they don't have very good heaters, but very good air conditioning. So we're not playing a lot of basketball in the summer in Canada for many years until CBL and now Tempo this year. So this is a new phenomenon, a new world that they may have to perfect a little bit. And we got to understand Scotiabank Arena is a big, wide open space. And to cool all that air inside the arena takes a lot of air conditioning and a lot of power. And, the people are going to heat up the arena just from being in there. It's like, Jack Armstrong, Matt Devlin can talk about during the regular season for the Raptors. It's cold outside, Jack, but it's hot in this here arena. I know, Matty D. This is so great. It was so cold outside, but being inside the arena with everybody with the heat and the people warming up the arena, this is great. That's part of it too. It's going to be hotter in there, partly from just all the humanity of 18,000 people in a sellout being in the arena. Whatever ESPN said, Fiercey, fuck them. Who cares what they say? They're a bullshit outfit anyway, a bullshit propaganda and perception. And in some ways, they're not really a sports network anymore. They're a sports entertainment network. And the fact that they have incorporated WWE and WWE stuff on their main broadcast now is very symbolic of how they are not an authentically true sports reporting channel anymore. They're more about talking heads like Stephen A. Smith. And now they're talking about WWE on their broadcasts and stuff like that. They would never have talked about wrestling in the way they do today in the old Chris Berman, Kenny Mayne, Stuart Scott, Rich Eisen, ESPN that I used to know. Yeah, nah, it's a farcical channel at this point. So listen to anything they say, those jokers and their bullshit. I mean, Rebecca Lobo was cracking on the customs. And they were saying all kinds of shaded shit. And then, like, the whole thing with the Indiana Fever players trying ketchup chips and most of them hating it and talking about it. Caitlin Clark saying, I hate ketchup chips. They just weren't that good. And they're like going over all the Canadian cuisine and they're like dissing maple cookies. They're saying maple cookies taste like garbage. There's a lot of shade going on. Once again, I'll say this. When a pedophile child rapist is in charge, and he disrespects his allies around the world as other countries, well, some of his people that support him or people that are around get a little bit more disrespectful themselves. And that's why I have a big problem with that administration and the things that they've done as far as their overtures towards Canada, Greenland, and Europe and other places around the world, and now South Korea. He's hurting the allies, and he's also influencing his own nation to be disrespectful towards the allies also. So fuck them. I don't give a shit about what any Americans think about Canada. Fuck them. They don't know jack shit about our country. So what the fuck do they know? That's what I would say. Yeah, come up here and find out. You find out. Yeah. Cool Cat saying this. Quality control of facilities is number one priority for the health of players. Well, in some ways, these kind of situations was actually probably handled pretty well, considering the very difficult ability to climate control that whole big, huge arena. They're more used to trying to keep it warm enough than trying to keep it cool enough. I don't think it was that bad. It didn't stop the game, and they were able to play. If one player had a heat problem, well, maybe she needs to go and get more conditioning. Maybe she needs to go work on herself. I don't know. Infamous is saying this. Marina, please treat Mitchell with kindness. We may consider her for future opportunities. Would love to have her on this team. Laugh out loud. I don't think that'll ever happen. She's the kind of player that's a keeper, and that Fever team's not going to try and let her go in any kind of way. So, yeah, I don't think this is realistic. You're worried about this. Obviously, Kelsey Mitchell does not like Marina Mabrey. There are certain players in this league that do not like Marina, and they can be very open and honest about it. There's a lot of players that do like her, and they're cool with her, like Paige Beckers and the Stud Buds. But there are a lot of players that do not like her and treat her a certain way in shade. And it's obvious that Kelsey Mitchell's one of them. So I'm sorry, I go with my team. And you can be a big Mitchell fan, but nah, we'll part on that in some ways. That incident with her and Mabry, maybe Mabry was at fault, but I didn't like the way she bowed up at her and acted like that. I just see that all as kind of just regular, normal basketball stuff in the WNBA. But Kelsey Mitchell, you lost your cool. Literally, you lost your cool and you had to leave. Yeah, I'm not worried about pleasing Kelsey Mitchell. I'm sorry. And Marina Mabry can do what she does. That's right. That's right. Another DMP for Key. Well, in some ways, we don't know what's going on in practice. We don't know how much Sandy actually trusts Tiani Key to be out there in certain ways. So I'm not surprised by this. In some ways, it may be part of how Sandy's motivating Tiani to get to a new level and say, well, when you start showing this in practice, maybe I'll start putting you in games again. There's a whole kind of thing that we don't know about that's behind the scenes and why these decisions get made. If Tiani Key was doing certain things a certain way, I'm sure she'd be a part of the rotation. I would say that. Yeah. I think part of it is that she's not strong enough yet. She's very, very skinny and she needs more muscle and she needs to be a little bit more strong in certain ways. Also, she's had a proclivity for fouling very quickly when she gets out there. So this is a common thing with bigs that are young and they just come into leagues like the NBA and the WNBA is they got to learn how to play and stay on the floor without fouling. And, we've already had problems with fouling too much with our team. Sandy keeps saying it in the post-game interviews that we foul too much. We're fouling too much. And Tiani Key's not the answer. Tiani Key's not the answer. She'll just add more. Mr. Greg saying, I had projected with our roster, if we stayed healthy, we may win 19 games or so. Well, it's tough to do at this point to get 9 out of the last games that are remaining, considering we only have 10 games remaining, guys. We have 10 games remaining, and to get 9 out of that 10 would be really, really tough. I mean, what would look like success right now? Would it be losing all the way out and having the craziest losing record, like the losing streak of like 20 games on the way out? Or would it be to tack together a couple of losses, a couple of wins in between the losses so that we can stop this crazy streak? In some ways, that's what I would want to do is just get one of these a win. If we don't win tonight, we got the Portland Fire in Vancouver on Friday. That's a winnable game. We need to just stop the streak because the streak could get into something really crazy by the end of the year, like a 20-game losing streak. And that would be awful because we don't want that. That'll look really bad. That's what I would say. That's the thing with the Raptors. Even when we were really bad in the second year or the first year of Darko, they always had a pride to try and stop losing streaks that were getting out of control. And that's not showing up for the Tempo right now. If they had that pride, they would have won last night or against Dallas last week to stop this losing because they don't have that pride right now. They don't have the ability yet. So, I mean, if I'm projecting how many they're going to win for the rest of the year, 11 or 12 is what they're going to have for their win total for the end of the year. They'll be lucky if they win 1 or 2 games to go out. Seriously, if they get to 15, I'll be overjoyed. But I'm expecting like 12, 13, maybe they win 3 more games this season, maybe 2, maybe none. I mean, there's nothing guaranteed here. And in some ways, they're way underwater for winning. Way underwater. G saying LeBron made OG look silly too when he was young, and now look at him. These reps are so valuable for Bencole. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to start somewhere, and that's the thing. Not you could say this as an individual for Ornella, but you could say this as an organization for a franchise. Is that we going through it as a whole team and a group? The learning lessons of the welcome to the WNBA moment. That's just part of this. That's just part of this. You can see these teams that have been together and how polished they are and how more championship ready or contending ready they are. And we're not there yet. We got to have our times of futility and learning. And hopefully we'll start having success sooner than later. That's what we need. That's right. That's what we need. Smooth saying this. I said there might be a deal, man, We know the playbook, Lex. I said there might be a deal. I'm still not understanding what you're talking about. Somebody said something about a clam earlier. I don't know. You said there might be a deal or where they trade Mabry out. Is that what you mean when you said that? I mean, I don't know. That's more like outlandish speculation and trade rumor than actually like basis in reality for what we have right now. I don't know. She's a money maker. She's a marketable superstar. If we have her on the books for next year, I think she's coming back. I don't think it's likely we trade her. I mean, especially since she seems happy to play for us. She doesn't want to go somewhere else. And also, we're making money off of her. She's like the face of our league, our franchise. So I don't see it. I don't see her getting traded. I don't see her getting dealt. Kaz is saying this. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Trucker Kaz. Good to see you. G saying the reason she got caught with the 8 seconds is because she slipped under the net and was telling the refs there was water under the net that needed cleaning, and they called it. Yeah. Yeah. So what? I mean, I like that. They're not showing any favoritism to her just because she's a huge face of the league. That's good. And I get why she did that. And still, she's got to, she's a young player. She's got to realize, well, there's still an 8-second rule. And I don't mind that mistake. It's still a mistake, regardless. Kaloy saying, morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Kaloy. Kelsey never loses are cool. I have to be honest. Some of the tempo defense was just a bit reckless. Even Laura was laying on Clark's back at times, which I found odd. A bit more discipline is needed. Well, I mean, I didn't see anything out of the extraordinary. I really didn't. The way that we've been playing this whole year and the physicality and the swipes and the things like that, there's a certain level of dirtiness and a certain level of weird stuff going on in basketball these days. There's a horse collar in the game with Winnipeg and Brampton in the finals where somebody literally grabbed the jersey and choked the guy and pulled him down to the ground flat on his back. There's a lot of physicality in basketball these days, and some of it is very dirty. You're right. But I think with Marina Mabry in particular, there's such a level of dirtiness coming at her that if she's doling out dirtiness the other way, I in some ways I say it's equal because she's getting a lot of dirty stuff done to her, is what I'm saying. We may be a little bit clumsy and falling around with our Lithuanian, but I don't think there's any ill will or a bad intent. It's just, Yuskata's out there playing, and she's a little clumsy. Let's just put it that way. Randolph's here. Good morning, Randolph. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Know that all things are lawful unto you, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for you, but you should not be brought under the power of any. This is interesting. This is I don't totally get it, but I think I do. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to go to the HD real quick. We are in gate 29, the gate of saying yes. And well, let me read a little bit more about it in particular. It can easily lead us to overcommitment and persevering through life with the burden of carrying commitments that were never correct for us in the first place. So we need to be careful about saying yes and not taking on responsibilities that are too much of a burden that we should never took on. That's part of it. So the line today is evaluation. That is the word for today. And detriment, in this context, properly assessed in action, a preference for withdrawal in principle with little regard for effect, the inability to make commitments, the power of caution. So maybe withdrawing and kind of evaluating things and saying, you know what, I don't want to participate and I'm just going to step out and I'm not going to be involved. And exaltation, evaluation is despite the urge and cost of inaction and the knowledge that it is sometimes better to fight another day, the power to wait. The power to wait. Yeah. Either way, HD is an excellent system for trying to figure out yourself and live a happier life. So check it out. Yeah, that's it. We're in gate 29, line 3. Evaluation is the word for today. Evaluation. That's right. Fiercely saying mascots that dance are a vibe. When I saw Dez grooving, I was happy. Yeah. I just want more of a turtle look to the mascot because it looks a little bit like a bug to me, actually, a bug. Yeah. G saying this metronome was the most clever to me and so unique, but maybe if they are listening to us, the metronome will make some guest appearances. I think the metronome will be a cult classic and kind of the unspoken mascot for the tempo forever. And they could really kind of do some goofy stuff with the metronome still in the future, obviously. I don't think we'll ever forget metronome. So that's all that matters right there. It's kind of like if the Raptors had an extra mascot that they didn't really do, and we talked about it all the time, which is what metronome will become for the tempo. That we got the Raptor and then Stripes for the 905. And that's really our mascots for the Raptors organization. Some organizations have a lot of mascots, like Cleveland has like 3 or something. And, some have none. Like the Lakers don't have a single one. So, having 2 for the tempo, well, let's see. And maybe we have a secret one on the secret menu, and that's the metronome. The metronome. G saying this, even though Sophie was booed, she said very glowing things about Toronto and the tempo giving us flowers. So credit her for good sportsmanship. Your criticism of Mabry is legit and true. Yeah, and it's with a good heart. And what I'm saying, it's just, the Sophie Cunningham stuff was interesting. There were idiots outside the Scotiabank Arena last night protesting with signs. People that didn't even come in the game. Political opportunists, they're just showing up to be idiots. In fact, there was an idiot out there wearing a Trump shirt saying he's back or some bullshit like that. What idiots, man. Maple MAGA is one of the most pathetic things in the world. And these are all Benedict Arnolds that support Trump that are Canadians. Anybody who's supporting Trump in Canada, what the fuck is your brain damage? Seriously. And Sophie got booed in the game. And as she said after the game, she loved the passion of the crowd, whether it's boos or not. She just loves the engagement and the energy. And that's just part of it. It's just like wrestlers. Wrestlers love getting booed because that means that people care. And well, that's how Sophie felt about it too. I feel like she carries herself pretty well, but she's also a little fake. Like there's something about her that's not exactly right. Let's just put it that way. In some ways, she is very much being utilized by certain nefarious, awful people as a role model and a person that they're putting out as a hero. And in some ways, she's not denouncing that and she's reveling in it too. Like she kept saying, like, I want to be a role model for people like me to make the league. What do you mean? White and blonde? From Farm Girl and stuff like that. And she had this interview yesterday with the Savannah Hamilton and Chelsea and all them, Lindsey Dunn, and she's talking about how this league needs to have representatives from all walks of life and showing anybody can get to this league in different paths, and it's fun to have the different people involved in the competition of it. But she said it's very important for people like me to be seen in this league also. What are you trying to say right there? Is there a little bit of like a weird, like white supremacy vibe going on with Sophie Cunningham on the down low? Possibly. I mean, she is a farm girl from the sticks, and who knows what her background and her beliefs are in her family in private. This may all go really well, the bigotry of the movement that's behind her. So she said that, and I was like, okay, I get what you're saying. You don't have to code this. In some ways, it's very obvious what you're trying to say here, that you think more white girls should be playing the WNBA. Anyway, I'll keep going. Imbus is saying Marina and RJ engaged in a lengthy conversation after the game, likely exchanging tips. I hope. I don't know if they're exchanging tips, but that is cool to see. I do believe that RJ came and talked to her after the playoff game that she came to for the Raptors, and that he came over after the game ended and like talked to her and hugged her. So they might be building a relationship to a degree, as far as a friendship. And that doesn't surprise me. Marina, wants to talk to competitive people and like be involved and say, hey, I know RJ. Yeah, I talked to him. He's a really cool guy. I talked to Scotty too. The Raptors are good guys, and I appreciate them being in the same city with us, right? So that's cool. I didn't see that part, but I'm glad that Marina did go and talk to Barrett. Fiercely saying this, ESPN broadcast said Becky Hammond finds players when they foul on a 3-point shot. That's a good thing to do. See, that's the kind of discipline stuff I'm talking about. There's nothing worse than fouling on a 3-point shot. This happened with Cunningham last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you foul her? Seriously, now she gets 3 free throws? Yeah, that's a really egregious bad foul these days, is fouling on a 3-point shot. And I don't blame Becky Hammond for doing that. It's probably a smart coaching move. G saying, when you said Morrow grabs rebounds like a clam, Nameless made the clam comment. Just an FYI. That's what he meant when he said that. Okay, cool. Like a clam. Yeah. Yeah. She's just like, brings it down. Yeah. She's a very powerful player. She's very strong and she utilizes her ability to the utmost, like pound for pound. Seriously. She's a pound for pound kind of player. It's like, wow, pound for pound. She's really good. Trevor J saying this Angel Reese and the rest of the Atlanta Dream refused to stand for the national anthem last night. I don't blame them. If I was involved in sports and I was involved with the United States and the leadership that they have right now, I'd be doing the same thing. I mean, I do it when I go to games right now. When I went to the Tempo game this summer and they did the U.S. anthem, I didn't stand. When I went to the Raptors playoff game against Cleveland, game 4, I did not stand for the U.S. anthem, and I stood and sang for the Canadian anthem. So, I mean, it's the right of the individual to not have to just be indoctrinated and have to stand for things because that's not freedom. In democracy, you have the choice. And well, I applaud the Dream players for making this decision because honestly, more people need to be making these kind of political statements and the child rapists ruling their country right now. Seriously, they need to be doing this. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, of Canada or US national anthem. They didn't stand for the US anthem. They don't do the Canada anthem if we're not there, Fiercey. If it's Las Vegas versus Atlanta, they're just doing the US anthem. They don't waste the time doing the Canadian anthem when the Canadian team's not involved. Do you know that? Did you know that? Every game that's just American team versus American team, the Canadian anthem does not get played. Why would it get played? There's no Canadian representative there. There's no Raptors or Tempo. So they didn't stand during the US anthem. That's what they did. Yeah, it's easy to suss out right there. All right, let me see. Let me do with my tabs some more here and see what I've got going on. I've done the game reaction. We talked about the mascots. I did the power rankings. I did the straight goods on Canadian goods. Let's see if there's any weird breaking news. Let's see. No. Nneka Ogwumike is going to retire from the WNBA after this season, apparently. She came back to the Sparks this year and played the last season of her career, but she is going to retire. She had an interview with Taylor Rooks, and this is breaking news as of just 3 minutes ago by Alexa Philippou. So a great is going to leave the game after returning to her favorite team or team she played for most of the time. All right, here's our Raptors Redditor of the day. It's Direct Bug 4123. And I'd say maybe Direct Bug is a troll. But either way, we're going to ponder this question real quick because it is an interesting one. What do you think about Alan Graves as the primary playmaker for the Raptors? Well, this doesn't make any sense. First of all, he's a rookie. The man hadn't even played an NBA minute yet. So how the hell would you give him any responsibility of being the primary playmaker for the Raptors? First of all, is that insulting towards Emmanuel Quickley? Yes. Is that insulting to Scotty Barnes? Yes. Is that insulting to RJ Barrett? For sure. Is that insulting to Jamal Shed? For sure. That's insulting to all of our best playmakers on our team, which do include Emmanuel Quickley, because the whole bag that Emmanuel's not a playmaker is dumb. Whoever's been putting that rumor out and saying that kind of stuff around Raptors Nation, saying that Emmanuel is not a true point guard and can't play point guard, you're wrong. He is a true point guard. He can play both. He's a combo. So whatever this desperation of this idea that making Alan Graves the primary playmaker for the Raptors, this is a stupid, idiotic nephew take. Now, look, I'll give Graves some credit. He is a very good passer, and he is going to be a great playmaker. But he's not the primary playmaker for the Raptors. That's ridiculous. And we'll develop his skills on the time schedule that's right for him in what he should be doing on the court. So, yeah, it's a ridiculous post. But I did want to pose the question. Alan Graves is the primary playmaker for the Raptors? No. Alan Graves is an energy guy who's very openly said this summer, they want me to rebound. So he's going to be rebounding. He's going to be playing disruptive defense where he's going to be stealing and blocking. That's the things he's going to be worried about. Sure, there's going to be some nice moments where he hits threes and makes some passes, but his primary focus this year is defense and rebounding. So let's not get it twisted. But he is an all-around player, and he will make some nice plays, trust me. But he's not the primary playmaker. Yeah. Yeah, direct bug. Are you a troll? Seriously, because it seems like you trolling with this. Seriously, it's kind of goofy, man. It's kind of goofy that he would ask this. Yeah, nobody's upvoting his post. Everybody's telling him he's an idiot in the comments. Everybody's seeing is seeing the comments. Yeah, Fiercey saying, "Oh, okay, wow, yeah." Oh, Agua Mike, yeah, she's been amazing. Yeah, NECA's gonna retire. That's right. She's retiring with the team that drafted her. That's right. That's right. It's special. It's special. Not gonna see why. All right. Happy birthday to Roy Rogers. Roy Lee Rogers Jr. is turning 53 years old today. Roy Lee Rogers Jr. is one of the players that played for both the expansion Grizzlies and the Raptors. And he played for the Toronto Raptors in 1997-98 when he was 24 years old. He played in 6 games for us and averaged 2.2 points per game. So happy 53rd birthday to Roy Rogers. No, not the cowboy who rode on that horse with Dale Evans. No, not that Roy Rogers. This is Roy Rogers, the player who played for the Grizzlies in his rookie year and then the Raptors later. So happy birthday to former Raptor Roy Rogers. That is our birthday of the day. All right, I guess. Oh, yeah, I wanted to do this real quick because I was going to do this yesterday, but I forgot. I'm going to open another WNBA pack in honor of our games right now. And let's see who I get on the WNBA packs for today. I'm opening a brand new pack. So let's go ahead and see who we get today. All right, let's see. Who is this? All right, I'll bring it up to the camera so I can see it better. That is Nafisa Collier. That's a cool card. It's shiny too. It's a foil. Very nice. I like that card. That's a nice card. That's a good card. She's done very well for me on my fantasy team. Who else do we get? In my house, Brianna Stewart card. Some funky stuff on the outside of it. Yeah, foil cards are nice. They are. Yes, they are. Let's see who else we get. There's a lot of cards in these packs. And thank you once again to Trevor J. Oh, wow. This is very cool. I got a jersey card. There's actually a pick part of the jersey in this card. Who's the player, though? It looks like Gabby Williams. Is that who that is? Oh, Veronica Burton. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of hers, but this is a jersey worn card. You see the little jersey patch in the middle there? So, yeah, a jersey card of Veronica Burton of the Golden State Valkyries. And see how thick it is on the side? That's interesting. Yeah, I don't really care about having this card. I'll probably give it to somebody at the next Raptor Freak meet and greet or something like that. Let's see who this is. Is that Sania Rivers, Mabry's girlfriend, Mabry's friend, Connecticut's son. Looks like a rookie card too, because she's not in action. It looks like it was maybe a rookie card from last year. Yeah, it's a rookie card because it doesn't even have her stats on there. It just has NC State. Interesting. Interesting. All right, let's keep going. See what else we get. Who is that? That's Haley Jones. Haley Jones, Atlanta Dream. She's been hurt this year. She didn't play in the last game we played them. This is Brianna Jones. Yeah, Bree Jones. She was hurt also most of the season, but she come back and played recently. Is this also a rookie card? It's like she brand new too. That's interesting. So she just came in the league. Okay. Interesting. All right. Let's see who else we get. Oh, is that who I think that is? Look at that. I got a Caitlin Clark card. That's probably worth something, right? That's probably worth something. Is this a rookie card even? Do I have a rookie Caitlin Clark card? This is crazy. Because that's her first year, right? 2024. And it's just that year on there. This last year. All right. This one's going up here. Because if that's a Caitlin Clark rookie, I got to get that, you know? I got to keep that. That's a greatness card right there, right? Let's see. Who's that? That's Jordan Canada. There's a lot of Atlanta Dream in this pack. A lot of Atlanta Dream. Jordan Canada. Who else did we get? Let's see who this is. Alyssa Pili of the Lynx. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of her. And then we got John Kelt Jones, New York Liberty. That's a pretty good card considering she's won a bunch of MVPs and stuff. There's a lot of cards in each pack. That's the thing. There's a Kalia Copper. I know that's Kalia. I recognized her. Only a couple more here. Oh, there's Austin. Look, I got an Austin card. These are actually pretty good pack right here. Getting Caitlin Clark, Nafisa Collier, and some of these cards. Oh, and look, I got old stud buds. Courtney Williams card. This is like partly my fantasy team. Two more. Dorka was on my fantasy team too. This is so weird. There's like all these players on my fantasy. Oh, and I got Sabrina too. Holy crap. Look at this pack, man. This is crazy. I got Caitlin, Sabrina, Courtney, Shakira Austin, Kalia Copper, Jonkel Jones, Jordan Canada. This is a really good pack. The Burton jersey card, a Brianna Stewart, and a Nafisa Collier. This is a good pack right here. But I'm going to keep the Caitlin Clark. Yeah, just because, I was probably going to be worth something, right? The Caitlin Clark. All right, so there you go. There's a opening up a WNBA pack real quick for fun, just for fun. Now we'll do the classic card, which has been weird lately. If you've been watching my show, you know why it's been weird. All right, we'll go ahead and do this. Let's do this card right here. All right, it's a classic Blue Jay, guys. So Blue Jays fans, be ready with your full name answer. Burton is helping the Valkyries big time, is underrated in my opinion. Well, she's played every game for the Valkyries so far in their history. I just hate her. I've decided I don't like the Valkyries. I'm going to diss them. I'm going to diss them left and right. Because honestly, in some ways, I see them as the rich kid on the street. They're getting everything handed to them. And they're not working as hard as everybody else. In some ways, we're going to be that kid that has to go through the tough stuff to get there as the expansion team. And they're a team that's getting things handed to them. So I don't respect them. I'm not going to respect the Valkyries because I can see right through how the sports entertainment world of the WNBA has helped them be who they are. And that's why. That's why right there. So no respect for them. All right, here's the card of the day. Classic card of the day. Who is this classic Blue Jays guy? Full name answer. If you can see it, it's a Donruss. It's 91, so it's not in the 80s. So it may be a little tougher. Let's see if you guys know. This is a rookie card even too. This is this guy's rookie card and playing in the league. Let's see who knows their Blue Jays history that's still in the chat. This is a Donruss 1991 rookie card for this player. Who is it? That's right. Who is it? That's right. Giving them all-star platform as well. Giving them all-star platform. Who? What? Oh, Valkyries. Well, they're going to get the all-star game next year. They do have a really good arena and a really good vibe in their crowd. So it makes sense why they would give Golden State the all-star weekend next year. It makes sense. We'll get it for the same reason down the road, but we'll get it at Scotiabank. They should have all-star weekend at Scotiabank if they come here, not at whatchamacallit, Hernandez. That's a half-ass answer, and it's wrong anyway. It is not Hernandez. His name in the end is the same last name as one of the most famous Blue Jays ever, and I have that Blue Jays jersey, but I do not have this guy's jersey. That's right, Rodriguez. Why are you just naming last names? Hernandez Rodriguez? Is that the guy's first and last name? Hernandez Rodriguez? No, this guy has the same first name as one of the greatest Chicago Cubs ever that had the last name Lee. If you know that answer, you can get this guy's first name, and his last name is the same as a Hall of Famer in the Circle of Honor for the Blue Jays out there. Willie Lee? No, it's not Willie Lee. Derek Lee? No, it's not Derek Lee. Derek Lee's the Cub I'm talking about. The last name, you got to get it right, Slug Deezy. Derek is this guy's first name. So you got Derek Lee as the Cub I was talking about. But what is this guy's last name? It's Derek something else. And his last name is the same as one of the greatest Blue Jays of all time, a guy who led the league in home runs in the 80s. And I have his jersey in this dresser right here. I could pull the jersey out maybe and show you guys the number. Maybe that'll help you. But yeah, this guy, his first name is Derek, but you got to get his last name, Derek Bell. That's exactly right, Fiercey. It's Derek Bell. Of course, George Bell is the player I was talking about. Derek Bell played in the league for a lot of other teams. He was on the Pittsburgh Pirates, I believe, for a lot of his career. But yeah, Derek Bell was a rookie for the Blue Jays in the beginning, and this is his rookie card, Derek Nathaniel Bell. So yeah, Fiercey, an unlikely classic card getter for the Blue Jays classic card of the day. Yeah. Yeah, doing a little, it's the boys of summer. Why not? We'll do some baseball cards for the classic card, just for the hell of it. Why not? All right, Fiercey, I'm going to give you 200 points for that card because I feel like Derek Bell is not totally remembered by most people. So we'll put it in real quick. Derek Bell. Fiercey Salsera. And 200 points for this one. And I will go and do the real add up in real time to give you guys the totals at this point. Fiercey's in second right now. She moved ahead of Stargate. So now she's at 21-31. So our standings are Slug Deezy 31-20, Fiercey 21-31, Stargate 1850, Seymour 1550, and Smooth 1350. That's our top 5 in the Raptor Freak trivia standings right now. So Slug Deezy is on top right now. That's right. Derek Bell, the classic card of the day. All right, let me go on and recap real quick. My stars of the game for the Indiana game last night: Anissa Morrow, Temi Fagbenle, and Brittany Sykes are my 3 stars for the game. It's a tough one. We could have won it, but we didn't. We are not adept enough in recognizing the opportunities and executing on them to get the right outcome. In some ways, that's frustrating for a great coach like Sandy, and it's frustrating for a fan like me that can see the opportunities laying out there, and they just don't go and take them. So growth and the maturity of the franchise will be shown more and more as they take these opportunities and win on them. Because they were there last night. They had every chance in the world to beat the Fever, come back and win that game, but they are not adept enough or practiced enough or together enough to get it together to do it yet. And well, that'll be a sign of progress and growth and maturity for this young franchise called the Toronto Tempo. Tonight, we're going to be in Washington on the second night of a back-to-back, and we've got a heavy game tonight. Niara Sabally will be out. Julie Alamond, let's see if there's any news on her for today. It says her estimated return could be today. So we'll see if Julie comes back from the groin injury today. Maria Conde, same thing. Estimated return August 19th, which is today. So hopefully we get Julie and Maria back. They could help, seriously. If not, just for having more bodies out there to take more of the minutes and have more, especially on the second night of a back-to-back. Could very well be they sat last night partly with the idea that they would return for the second night of the back-to-back to bolster us with energy, because we know Julie Alamond of Belgium is energy. That's right. But yeah, Niara's out for sure. Well, it remains to be seen if Julie or Maria will be out. They could very well be out still. On the other side of things, there's no injuries for the Washington Mystics and their team right now. They're fully healthy, and we should expect their best lineup. Referees for tonight's game: Isaac Barnett is the crew chief. We are I believe we're 1-2 with him. Then Jason Alabanza is the referee. We have not had him as a ref, so 0-0. And Ken Jones is the umpire, and we're 1-2 with him. So 2-4 record with the referees for Washington game tonight. Keys to the victory: well, Brittany's back. So in some ways, can we continue to utilize Slim Sykes in the winning ways and follow her direction to maybe get a game plan to try and win somehow, some way? But it'll be very tough. In some ways, we've got an equalizer for Arafin, which is necessary because Kiki is really good at rebounding with Anissa Morrow. So that battle is a key battle to watch, is Kiki Arafin versus Anissa Morrow on the boards. That'll be entertaining. And then, whatever we can do to try and slow down Austin and Citron. The two of them are very powerful players in different ways. Handling a big like Shakira Austin is very, very hard. And then Sonia Citron is somebody we really got to keep track of and make sure is not hurting us in major ways. There's a lot of bit players on this team that are dangerous in different ways too, like Amore and Lainey Hamilton just showing up. and also McMahon. These are players that can have an X factor and can hurt us also. So yeah, Sidney Johnson's team has been playing very well lately, and they are no joke. And I don't look at them with the same disrespect that I have for the Washington Wizards. The Washington Mystics are a good team, and they're on their way up for sure. And being so young, it's amazing how well they've done this year. It's amazing how well. And well, there's always a chance if we catch some fire and we do some things right. The trio of Rice, Mabry, and Sykes is very powerful. And when they're playing together off each other and really working off each other, they can be very tough to beat themselves. And that's what we can hope for is a very balanced attack from Slim, Kiki, and Marina Mabry. Yeah. So hopefully Temmie and Isabel can do some things to slow down Austin. That's going to be a really tough matchup for us with Niara out. So, yeah, just a little bit of talking about the keys to victory for tonight. If they give us opportunities to win the game, go take it and stop the losing streak. Nobody wants to lose 12 in a row. And y'all shouldn't either. You should have some pride to this and be saying, yeah, we're going to do everything possible, no matter what, to stop us from losing 12 in a row. At this point, you should be like that. Seriously, because we're at the bottom of the WNBA power rankings and we're looking like we're going to get a top draft pick, which is good. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow with reaction to the Washington Mystics game at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a great Wednesday for sure. Yeah, Windex battle tonight. Amore is a disappointment. Amore is a disappointment? No, I think Georgia's been a fine backup point guard for them. And she can be a problem in some ways because she's a little speedy player and she's feisty. So their role players are pretty good, honestly. They have a very solid like starting lineup with Sonia and Austin and Irfin. But man, they have some good players off the bench that help them too. Like even their rookies with Dugalich and Betts from UCLA, they're very like Lauren Betts is a problem coming, right? That's a big woman. That's a very big woman. Yeah. Yeah. She's supposed to be the main point guard, the top draft pick in Amore. Well, she's still young, right? And she still needs to grow into things, I think. Georgia Amore. So, yeah, their team's stacked. They've got some good talent all the way through. And it's interesting that they picked up Lainey Hamilton off the waiver wire because that may actually really help them down the way. I'm forgetting about Onyenware too. She's very helpful, versatile player in the middle of it all too. So yeah. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak Show as we cover the tempo and the loss against the Fever last night and previewing the things for tonight. I think Dez and Dot are a very interesting combo for our mascots. Let's see how their story evolves and let's see what their character is like. The Raptor is a very defined character and has a whole thing to him. Let's give these tortoise in the hair a chance to grow on us and give us their backstory and find out more about them. I would just say maybe the design of the turtle needs to look a little bit more turtle-ish because it looks like a blue beetle. That's the one thing I'll say. Have a wicked day. Have a wicked day. All right. Yeah, wicked cool, Isaac Campbell. Wicked cool. Seriously saying Irfin and Citron drafted the same year, much more impactful. Yeah, well, Citron's amazing. And Marina talks about Sonia a little bit, about how she really respects her. And Irfin is like Angel Reese light. Like she's very much a very similar kind of player to Angel Reese. And she's coming along really well. That wingspan and that get up and get after the basket on the boards. She is a very good player. But we've got Morrow, who's a similar kind of player from the same kind of cloth. So that'll be a fun battle to see Kiki versus Anissa. That'll be a fun battle tonight. All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Look at that, tortoise in the hair. Look at that. There it is right there. All right, y'all. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's go tempo. Seriously, if you get this chance, don't fumble. Y'all need to try and stop this losing streak as soon as possible. And, getting one win here in this point, is it really going to hurt our draft chances of getting a high draft pick? No, because we're going to be getting a high draft pick no matter what. And in some ways, you don't want to get records for futility this early in your career. The Raptors wait till the second season to get a 20-game losing streak. We don't want a 20-game losing streak in the first year of the tempo. Seriously, there's not enough games in the season to have a 20-game losing streak. So y'all need to stop this L train as soon as you can. All right, let's go tempo. That's right. Woo!